What's that? Upon seeing little Li, who had transformed to several zhang tall, with fur that seemed to burn like true black flames, emanating an immensely powerful aura, little Yen was completely stunned, watching this scene with boundless shock. She never knew that little Li had such abilities. And beside her, Five Elements was also dumbfounded at this moment. It also realized that when little Li got serious, he was frighteningly powerful. Just from the aura little Li emanated now, Five Elements felt that even its own physical body might not withstand a single claw. Boom! Under the stunned gazes of little Yen and Five Elements, the ninth bolt of Golden Tribulation Thunder struck little Li without any embellishment. The powerful Tribulation Thunder, containing a destructive aura, pierced through little Li's body in an instant. The golden lightning spread, scorching his extremely tough fur, skin splitting, with countless wounds appearing. This final bolt of the golden cloud heavenly tribulation was so formidable that even using all his innate power and the size as you wish divine skills, little Li almost shattered under this blow. Lu Qing kept a close watch on little Li's condition, with a light secretly brewing in his hand. Should little Li's vitality chi weaken to his anticipated warning line, he would act immediately. With his current minimal advancement at the world's limit, even the Golden Core Tribulation could not stop him from saving someone. Fortunately, under Lu Qing's gaze, though little Li was battered to near shattering by the Tribulation Thunder, ultimately he endured. Little Li's life energy, though continuously declining, never weakened to the point where Lu Qing had to intervene. Watching as a stream of light descended from the Golden Tribulation cloud and gradually dissipated, the massive heavenly tribulation vortex retreated slowly. Lu Qing finally relaxed his heart. Little Li. Once all noise had subsided atop the peak, Lu Qing, along with little Yen and Five Elements, arrived at the peak, now a charred land, even further leveled by the Tribulation Thunder. At this moment, little Li was enveloped in thick white mist. That was the vitality chi, bestowed by heaven and earth containing rule power after successfully crossing the tribulation, used to help tribulation crossers reshape their physical body and recover from injuries. Little Li had already released the size as you wish divine skills and returned to his original form. However, the terrible wound that almost partitioned his chest was still distressingly prominent. Fortunately, under the vitality bestowed by heaven and earth, plus the residual potency of the Five Elements lotus seed, little Li's injuries were visibly healing at an extraordinary pace. His entire body was undergoing a comprehensive, unimaginable transformation. Finally, after a long while, when the white mist condensed from the vitality chi dissipated, little Li also opened his eyes. At this moment, not only had little Li fully recovered from his injuries without a trace of scarring, he also exuded an immensely powerful aura, distorting and deforming the air around him. It was the imposing aura belonging to the Golden Core Realm or Demon Core Realm spiritual beast. The sheer terror of this aura made even little Yen and Five Elements somewhat unable to bear it. Fortunately, little Li quickly noticed this. Under the control of his heart and spirit, he soon retracted his aura. Qing, I succeeded in crossing the tribulation. After regaining his aura, little Li spoke happily. However, he spoke directly instead of using divine soul transmission. The voice was youthful, identical to the sound of divine soul transmission. Yet, it was his first time speaking like this. Little Li was evidently not yet fully adept, stumbling a little. Finally succeeded. It truly was a close call. We were so worried. Lu Qing smiled. He wasn't too surprised by little Li speaking. From records in ancient texts, he already knew that demon beasts or spiritual beasts, except for some particularly unique types, most of them, once they achieved the Golden Core Realm, would refine the crossbone and gain the ability to speak. Clearly, little Li belonged to this category. Conversely, little Yan's eyes widened hearing little Li speak. It's thanks to Qing's lotus seed. Without it, I might not have been able to persevere. Recalling the previous thunder tribulation, little Li still felt lingering fear. He had originally thought he was mentally prepared enough. But when facing the heavenly tribulation for real, he realized the terror of it was far beyond any preparation. Even after using the size as you wish divine skills, which greatly amplified his strength and physical toughness, he still appeared so fragile when facing the final tribulation thunder. At that moment, he truly thought that he would shatter body and soul. Fortunately, the lotus seed that Lu Qing had previously given him, containing vast life energy, continuously supported his core at the critical moment, maintaining his physical body. Otherwise, he might not have been able to withstand this heavenly tribulation. Little Li, you were too thrifty. Lu Qing shook his head at this mention. If you had consumed all the lotus seeds I gave you, it wouldn't have been so dangerous. I originally thought, given the rarity of the 5 elements lotus seed, I should use it sparingly. I didn't anticipate the heavenly tribulation's power would be this overwhelming. Little Li said, somewhat embarrassed. There's no need for that. Inanimate treasures are ultimately items. Your safety is far more important than mere treasures. Lu Qing said helplessly. In preparation for this tribulation, Lu Qing had arranged many resources for Little Li and 5 elements. He crafted various magical treasures to help them resist the heavenly tribulation. He also provided them middle-grade spirit stones as a contingency. Even each was given 3 5 elements lotus seeds for crucial injury recovery. Yet, Little Li only used one, leaving Lu Qing somewhat exasperated. If Little Li had consumed all its lotus seeds earlier, using the vast life energy of the 5 elements lotus seeds as support, their heavenly tribulation would have been considerably less perilous. 5 elements. When it's your turn to cross the tribulation, don't be frugal with the treasures. Crossing the tribulation safely is the utmost priority. Lu Qing thought for a moment and then advised 5 elements. This one was far more straightforward than Little Li. Don't go and cause trouble for yourself by saving treasures. Understood, Master. 5 elements immediately replied. Upon witnessing Little Li's heavenly tribulation, 5 elements understood that the terrifying nature of the heavenly tribulation was no joke. With the terrifying power Little Li had shown at the last moment, it almost fell under the heavenly tribulation. Were he to be careless, it was uncertain whether he could survive this heavenly tribulation. Realizing this, 5 elements, once proud due to the refinement of dragon turtle true blood and lineage transformation, finally calmed down. All right, now it's your turn to cross the tribulation. Be careful. After advising this, Lu Qing, with Little Li and Little Yen, flew away, leaving 5 elements in the spot where Little Li had undergone tribulation, preparing to face its heavenly tribulation. Boom! As Lu Qing and the others returned to the mountain peak where they previously stayed, the celestial phenomena changed suddenly. An immense power emerged from above the heavens, as the previously vanished tribulation cloud vortex reappeared. Rumble, rumble. As the tribulation cloud vortex gradually dissipated, it marked the successful crossing of the golden core tribulation for the 5 elements. Watching the 5 elements finally overcome the heavenly tribulation and become a golden core realm spiritual beast, Lu Qing let out a breath, his mood finally relaxing. As he had expected, the heavenly tribulation of the 5 elements was somewhat weaker than Little Li's. Although it was also a golden cloud heavenly tribulation, there were 2 less tribulation thunders than Little Li's, with only 7 tribulation thunders in total. Therefore, with the preparation Lu Qing had given, the 5 elements successfully and safely crossed the tribulation and became a true golden core realm spiritual beast. Bringing Little Yen and Little Li, he came to the peak where the tribulation was crossed. At this time, after enduring 2 rounds of golden core tribulation, the height of this peak had once again been reduced significantly. Could hardly be called a mountain peak anymore, almost becoming a mound. Lu Qing estimated that if there was another golden core heavenly tribulation, this mountain peak would likely be completely leveled. The 5 elements was also wrapped in white mist, absorbing the vitality bestowed by heaven and earth as it transformed. However, perhaps because the tribulation cloud induced only 7 tribulation thunders. Before the 5 elements tribulation cloud vortex disappeared, no brilliance descended. Is its potential ultimately a notch below Little Li's? Lu Qing pondered. Although the five elements was a naturally nurtured and powerful spiritual beast, bred by the secret realm of the five elements. Its innate talents were extremely strong, and its physical body was unusually resilient, comparable to the Golden Core realm even when it was in the Foundation Establishment realm. But compared to Little Li, who had several innate divine abilities and had refined and fused origin energy, its potential was still a bit lacking. This could be seen from this time's Golden Core tribulation. Although the demon cores they condensed were top grade, the absence of the two most powerful tribulation thunders for tempering meant the five elements demon core was much less formidable than Little Li's. After waiting for a long time, finally, the five elements completed its healing and transformation, formally becoming a Golden Core realm spiritual beast. The white mist dispersed, revealing the figure of the five elements. After stepping into the Golden Core realm, the five elements' appearance had some changes. The horns on its head became more crystalline, and the four paws under its abdomen grew larger, emitting strands of golden light. The current five elements could no longer be considered a winged snake, having become a true serpent. Very good. You two have both finally condensed your demon cores. Lu Qing's face was filled with satisfaction. Despite some twists, the two little fellows did not let him down, both becoming Golden Core realm spiritual beasts. Next, as long as they became familiar with the power of the Golden Core realm, with their foundation and strength, most of the Golden Core realms in this world would hardly be able to match them. After all, aside from his master, Lu Qing had not yet heard of anyone else in the world who had induced a Golden Cloud heavenly tribulation to achieve a top-grade Golden Core. It should be known that within the same realm, the difference in power between different grades of Golden Cores is immense. The power of a top-grade Golden Core is indisputable, capable of battling across realms when facing lower-grade Golden Core realms. Therefore, even though Little Li and the five elements had just achieved the Golden Core realm, there were almost no opponents in the world who could match them. All of this is thanks to Master's cultivation. Feeling its newfound strength, the five elements expressed its heartfelt gratitude. In the past, it thought entering the Golden Core realm would be effortless, achievable with just a lotus seed from the treasure lotus of the five elements. But during the true crossing of the tribulation, it realized how naive its initial thoughts had been. If not for the meticulous preparation from its master, it might have perished under this heavenly tribulation. Alright, stop with the flattery. You both just finished the tribulation, so stay in seclusion here for a while. Once you thoroughly familiarize yourselves with the power of the Golden Core realm, we'll head out. During the following period, Lu Qing and the others continued to stay in the Jade Cave. He also guided Little Li and the five elements on how to quickly master the power after their breakthrough in realm. A few days later, when Little Li emerged from seclusion, she immediately rushed to Lu Qing. "Ah Qing, let's spar." "Spar?" Lu Qing was slightly taken aback. "Yes, spar." Little Li's eyes lit up. "I want to see what level my strength has reached now." "Is that so?" Lu Qing thought for a moment and said, "In that case, bring the five elements as well. I also want to see how well you grasp the power of the Golden Core realm." A quarter of an hour later, in the depths of the 10,000 Great Mountains, high above the sky, Lu Qing, Little Li, and the five elements all stood in the air. "Come on. You can attack me with all your might. Let me see how much your strength has grown after reaching the Golden Core realm." Lu Qing beckoned. The reason he chose to spar in the sky was because physical flight is an ability only those in the Golden Core realm can possess. Sparring in the sky would not only allow them to test Little Li and the five elements' mastery of flying, but also minimize environmental damage below. It should be known that the power of the Golden Core realm is immense, and while moving mountains or filling seas might be an exaggeration, destroying mountains and flattening forests or altering terrain to a certain extent is still achievable. If they truly sparred in the mountains, fully unleashing their power, the surrounding forests for several miles may cease to exist. The 10,000 Great Mountains were now Lu Qing's own territory, and he did not wish to see such destruction occur. Little Li and the five elements exchanged glances, then unleashed their might without hesitation. Both of them had witnessed Lu Qing's formidable power firsthand. aware of his unparalleled strength. Thus, they did not hold back in probing but directly released their strongest power. Roar! With a loud roar, Little Li directly displayed her divine skill of Rui, as you wish size, transforming into the size of a small mountain. As her formidable power exploded, the rules of heaven and earth around her trembled. On the other side, the five elements' body also expanded, transforming into a huge serpent several dozen feet long, swimming through the sky. The whirlwind it stirred while swimming could easily uproot century-old trees if it swept through the forests below. However, although both Little Li and the five elements enlarged their bodies, they differed in nature. The five elements transformation was an innate ability of spiritual beasts, as most Golden Core realm spiritual beasts could control their size. Little Li, on the other hand, utilized a divine skill. After its display, not only did her power and might surge significantly, but it also had various miraculous uses. Compared to simple changes in size, it was much more profound. Not bad, impressive presence. Observing the presence emanated by Little Li and the five elements, Lu Qing smiled. With yellow light flashing around him, the field within several miles was already under his control. Come on, if you can break through this field defense, it will prove that you have indeed comprehended the power of the Golden Core realm. Boom! High above, two enormous figures like small mountains were aggressively attacking a human clan cultivator. Both gigantic figures used physical power to attack, either with claw swings, bites, or tail lashes. Each movement could whip up a huge whirlwind, unleashing fierce power. So much so that the drifting clouds in the sky within dozens of miles were torn apart and vanished, leaving it clear. However, faced with such terrifying attacks, Lu Qing remained incredibly calm in the vortex of power, not even changing his expression. Because although Little Li and the five elements attacks were formidable and powerful, capable of easily smashing a small mountain, they couldn't hurt Lu Qing at all, not even with claws or tails. Any attack that encountered the field set by Lu Qing slowed down significantly. The force powerful enough to crumble mountains and sever rivers was quickly dissipated. Unable to approach within 3 meters of Lu Qing. No more fighting! No more fighting! After another fruitless attempt, unable to break through Lu Qing's field, Little Li suddenly retreated, canceling her size-changing divine skill, reverting to her original form. On the other side, Five Elements was initially stunned, then stopped attacking and resumed its original appearance. What? Given up? Lu Qing withdrew the field, smiling. No more fighting, Ah Qing, you're cheating. Your field is too unfair, greatly restraining us spiritual beasts who use physical attacks. Little Li said disheartedly. She had been confident in her strength after ascending to the Golden Core realm, not expecting she couldn't even break Lu Qing's field. She knew this field was just one of Lu Qing's lesser-known divine skills. Unexpectedly, it was already making her and Five Elements feel helpless. You both did well, having just achieved the Golden Core, able to penetrate my field within 3 meters. Against a regular Golden Core, they'd likely be unable to withstand the field's forces and be shattered upon nearing. Lu Qing said with a light smile. The field he set was far from simple. Evolved from the Earth Spirit Pearl among the 5 elements spiritual pearls into the Earth Vein primordial magnetic field. It's one of the fruits of his years of secluded cultivation. With the 5 spiritual pearls gathered, becoming a powerful exotic treasure no less than a spiritual artifact. Among them, the Earth Spirit Pearl's power was the most substantial, generating a formidable Earth Vein magnetic field. Through a series of comprehensions and deductions, Lu Qing mastered it completely, turning it into a potent, all-round Taoist skill. It's one of his strongest defensive methods nowadays. Even ordinary Golden Core, without some special means, would suffer greatly entering the field. Little Li and 5 Elements managed to employ pure physical strength. Penetrating within 3 meters was quite good. He also knew the 2 little ones had trump cards left unused. If used, they might close in to 1 or 2 meters around him. However, truly breaking his Earth Vein primordial magnetic field was impossible. Not even a 3rd transition top-grade Golden Core might crack his defensive field. Hearing Lu Qing's praise, little Li wasn't thrilled but felt a deeper gap from Lu Qing. Previously, before achieving the Golden Core realm, they only felt Lu Qing was immensely powerful without a concrete sense. They merely thought Lu Qing's power came from having a higher realm. Now, as Gold Core realm spiritual beasts, they realized Lu Qing's strength far exceeded their imagination. Just the tip of his unveiled power could already crush them at the Golden Core early stage. However, contrary to Five Elements worship, little Li felt disappointed. She once battled side by side with Lu Qing, defeating many strong foes together. As Lu Qing's cultivation grew deeper, there were fewer times she could be of assistance. Even after entering the Gold Core realm, it remained the same. With complex feelings, little Li and Five Elements followed Lu Qing back to the Jade Cave. Inside awaiting, little Yen immediately came up. She asked cheerfully, "Little Li, how'd it go? Did you beat brother? How could we? Qing is too powerful, we couldn't even touch the hem of his clothes," little Li said disheartedly. "Of course, you just became Golden Core while brother stepped into it over 10 years ago. How could you possibly beat him?" Little Yen wasn't surprised by the outcome. In her heart, brother was invincible. Even with little Li and Five Elements, the two Golden Core realms cannot be his match. Her words relieved little Li a lot. Indeed, Lu Qing reached the Gold Core realm 10 years before them. It's natural for his strength to exceed theirs. As long as they keep cultivating diligently in the coming days, they might catch up to Qing a bit. Alright, you're not just spiritual beasts in the Golden Core realm now but have also successfully mastered post-breakthrough force. It's time for us to depart. Lu Qing suddenly said at this moment. "Brother, where are we going next? Back to the village?" little Yen asked. Lu Qing said, "Yes, after staying in the village a few days, I'll take you all to the Holy Mountain." "To the Holy Mountain?" With that, not only little Yen but also little Li and Five Elements looked over. "Yes, to the Holy Mountain." Lu Qing nodded. Now that little Li and they have entered Golden Core, relocating to a place rich in spiritual charm will enhance cultivation speed. The Holy Mountain is a wonderful place, just right for them to consolidate their cultivation. Now that you've reached foundation building great success, you can follow me to cultivate at the Holy Mountain. The array Lu Qing set up in Jili Village, gathering spiritual energy, can supply cultivation for at most one Golden Core realm. After all, this place is still remote. The density of spiritual energy is far inferior to Central State. With the master absent, little Li and Five Elements clearly are unsuitable for village cultivation anymore. Following him to the Holy Mountain is the optimal choice. Wonderful. I can finally go to the Holy Mountain with brother, little Yen said happily. She had longed for this day for a long time, which is why she diligently trained over the past 10 years. With the desire to endure the Holy Mountain's pressure, to cultivate alongside brother. Finally, now she can fulfill this wish. Alright, let's return to the village first. During the following time, Lu Qing and little Yen returned to Jili Village. Unfortunately, the master is still traveling outside, not in the village. So after staying a few days, Lu Qing then took little Yen and them on the flying boat heading to the Holy Mountain. Lu Qing silently brought little Yen and the others back to the Holy Mountain. His authority in the Holy Mountain was extremely high, and besides the 3 Saint Masters, no one was qualified to seek an audience. So whether he went out or returned, almost no one knew without causing any ripples. However, on the second day after Lu Qing's return, the disciples of the Holy Mountain discovered that at the Merit Hall, a new talisman had been added to the Treasure Exchange catalog. It was named the Demon Suppression Talisman. Its main power was the strength of the talisman, which had great restraint against evil cultivators. It could easily suppress and kill evil cultivators and demon cultivators. Simultaneously, at the task hall, a new long-term task of Exterminate Demons appeared. This task is for Holy Mountain disciples, where every capture or kill of an evil cultivator or demon cultivator results in double merit rewards. This task excited all the disciples of the Holy Mountain. It is important to know that in the Holy Mountain, merit points are extremely important. They can be exchanged for various treasures and cultivation techniques, and if enough, can even request guidance from the elders in cultivation. Now seeing the Exterminate Demons task, with merit points doubling, all Holy Mountain disciples were filled with enthusiasm. Immediately, countless disciples took on the task and went down the mountain to exterminate demons. Even some elders couldn't resist being tempted and secretly took on the task to go out. After all, the treasures and cultivation techniques in the Merit Hall were something they coveted greatly. As a result, evil cultivators in the world suffered greatly. In just a few months, they were hunted by the Holy Mountain disciples to the brink of extinction, with more than half dead or injured. Only a few who were skilled at hiding managed to survive, hiding in more remote, desolate areas. For a time, almost all evil cultivators disappeared from the world. The reputation of the Holy Mountain soared, commanding more respect and fear from various sects. However, Lu Qing, who triggered this storm, was not much concerned with the commotion outside. By the time he released the task, he had already predicted this result. Those shadowy rats practicing the evil paths hadn't formed a threat yet, and naturally couldn't withstand the Holy Mountain's onslaught. So after releasing the task, he paid little heed to it, because he had more important things to do. In his Holy Mountain cave mansion, Lu Qing was seriously looking at the enlarged leaving fire tripod in front of him. His hands forming various seal formations, casting magic seals and restrictions into a certain artifact being refined within the tripod. As the final restriction was cast, the leaving fire tripod suddenly shone brightly, rapidly inhaling the spiritual energy in the cave mansion to provide energy for the transformation of the artifact within. A massive amount of spiritual energy surged madly, being continuously absorbed by the artifact. In a matter of breaths, it had already far exceeded the absorption limit of a cultivator at the Perfect Foundation establishment. Fortunately, the Holy Mountain, being the center of the central state, had astonishingly dense spiritual energy. Even if dozens of Golden Core Realm cultivators cultivated here simultaneously, it could fully support them. Therefore, although Lu Qing created quite a commotion, it had little impact on the Holy Mountain. After absorbing the spiritual energy from the cave mansion for a full quarter of an hour, the leaving fire tripod stopped absorbing. The artifact within it finally completed its transformation. Lu Qing moved a spell, and a stream of light flew out of the tripod, landing in front of him. It was a humanoid puppet Dharma body, similar in size to him, with blurred facial features. Finally, it's successfully refined. Lu Qing looked at the puppet Dharma body in front of him, smiling as he activated his superpower. After a few breaths, the purple superpower light emerged from the puppet Dharma body, with several lines of information floating out. Golden Core Level Puppet Dharma Body. A powerful puppet Dharma body refined from numerous precious materials. This puppet Dharma body possesses extraordinary power, already reaching the Golden Core Realm level. This puppet Dharma body has all 5 elements, capable of utilizing the power of the 5 elements. This puppet Dharma body is a growth-type puppet, capable of enhancing its power through cultivation. Not bad, it's reached Golden Core level. When Lu Qing finished reading the information floating from the puppet Dharma body, he was even more satisfied. It was no wonder he had spent a large number of merit points to exchange for numerous precious materials from the Holy Mountain's treasure vault. After spending several months, he finally refined this puppet Dharma body. Its innate power had already reached the level of the Golden Core Realm. After admiring it for a while, Lu Qing had a thought, and a surge of divine soul power flew from his forehead acupoint, landing on the forehead position of the puppet Dharma body. This was precisely the divine soul seed he had cultivated over the years using the soul-splitting technique. As the divine soul seed took control of the puppet Dharma body and refined it, the puppet Dharma body began to change, and its figure became identical to Lu Qing's. The originally blurred features also became clear, identical to his own. Next, the eyes of the puppet Dharma body opened, with spirit light flickering in them, directly meeting Lu Qing's gaze. What a marvelous feeling! Lu Qing felt all of this, with a hint of strangeness appearing on his face. At this moment, it was as if he had 2 of himself, facing each other, feeling extremely novel. However, due to his profound realm, he quickly adapted. Once a cultivator's cultivation reaches a certain level, they can already multitask effortlessly. Though the soul-splitting technique is remarkable, it is not that different from this. The consciousness of both is sourced from the same origin, just granted an additional unique perspective. The power of the Dharma body should currently be stronger than the three Saint Masters. Lu Qing estimated the strength of the puppet Dharma body and concluded. Over the years, the three monastery chiefs often came to consult him, so he was quite familiar with their strength. The puppet Dharma body he had refined lacked a magic power golden core and a divine soul talisman, and it did not possess various innate divine abilities and magical treasures. The primary source of its strength was a pseudo-core he condensed by referencing his own magic power golden core. Therefore, it naturally fell far short compared to his original self. But due to the realm, the strength he could exert was still considerably stronger than the three Saint Masters. Lu Qing reckoned, with his current realm, relying on the strength of the Dharma body. Even facing the three Saint Masters alone should not be a problem. The most significant aspect was that the puppet Dharma body he refined was growth-oriented. The pseudo-core inside, although not tempered by the heavenly tribulation, was not a true golden core. But it could still increase its power continuously by absorbing spiritual energy and refining and compressing its spiritual power. If it continues to compress, growing to the point of the golden core's limit is not impossible. The soul-sculpting mud is truly miraculous, worthy of being the material the puppet sect dreams of. My spending so many merit points was not in vain. The reason this puppet Dharma body had growth attributes was precisely due to the presence of the soul-sculpting mud. The puppet sect listed it as one of the best primary materials for refining puppets, which indeed is justified. After familiarizing himself with the puppet Dharma body, Lu Qing left it in the quiet room to cultivate independently and walked out himself. Ever since he brought little Yen and the others to the holy mountain, he had divided the cave mansion into several quiet rooms for cultivation, for them to use for their own cultivation. After leaving the quiet room and seeing little Yen and the others still in closed-door cultivation, Lu Qing did not disturb them, leaving the cave mansion himself to take a walk on the holy mountain to clear his mind. Walking slowly, Lu Qing admired the surrounding scenery. This was the peak of the holy mountain, with pressing pressure that only golden core realm powerhouses could withstand. Except for the three Saint Masters who occasionally came here, almost no one else appeared. Lu Qing did not like to see outsiders, so he usually came here to relax and unwind. However, this time, just after taking a walk, Lu Qing felt something. Raising his head to look forward, he saw a stream of light flying from the distant sky, finally stopping in front of the holy mountain, revealing a graceful figure. At the same time, in her hand, an invitation card emitted a faint glow, flying into the holy mountain. This aura, did she finally break through? Feeling the somewhat familiar aura from the newcomer, Lu Qing pondered. With a visitor at the Golden Core realm, it naturally could not escape the perception of the three Saint Masters. Moreover, the visitor had delivered an invitation card. Soon, the gentle voice of the first Saint Master sounded from the mountain. Palace Master's distinguished visit. I have failed to greet you from afar, truly ashamed. Then a rainbow bridge flew out of the mountain, landing before the figure hovering in midair. Ling Shuang presumptuously visits, truly embarrassed. The figure in midair gracefully made a salute, then stepped onto the rainbow bridge, flying into the mountain. Indeed, the Golden Core level visitor was none other than the Palace Master of Coldwater Palace, Han Lingshuang. It was just that they had not seen each other for 10 years, and upon seeing again, she was already a Golden Core realm cultivator. Seeing Han Lingshuang enter the mountain, Lu Qing thought for a bit and also slowly walked down the mountain. Lu Qing walked down the mountain, not heading to where the three Saint Masters were, but returning to his own cave mansion. Although he and Han Lingshuang were acquaintances, since she was visiting the three Saint Masters, there was no need for him to join in. Brother, you've come out of seclusion? As soon as he returned to the cave mansion, little Yen walked out from her quiet room where she had been cultivating. It seemed her cultivation had also come to a conclusion. Yes. I just finished and decided to take a walk. Lu Qing sensed little Yan's aura and smiled. Breakthrough. Yes, brother. I broke through. I have now reached perfect foundation establishment. Little Yan said happily. Not bad. Keep up the hard work. Aim to cross the tribulation soon and achieve the golden core realm. Lu Qing encouraged. However, he wasn't surprised at all by this. Little Yan's talent for cultivation was excellent from the start. Lu Qing had always intentionally made her focus on strengthening her foundation, without hastening her cultivation. Thus, the little girl's cultivation foundation was exceptionally solid and profound now. Now cultivating in a blessed place like the Holy Mountain, she naturally progressed rapidly. Yes, I will. Little Yan clenched her fists with determination. Recently, although she hadn't mentioned it, Little Li and the 5 elements crossing the tribulation had somewhat inspired her. After all, among the family, she was the only one who hadn't achieved the golden core. Luckily, she has now reached perfect foundation establishment and is not far from the golden core realm. Brother, I'll continue my seclusion. Thinking of this, Little Yan's enthusiasm for cultivation arose again, ready to return to her quiet room to continue cultivating. But Lu Qing stopped her. Don't rush into seclusion yet. The way of cultivation advises moderation as the righteous path. Constant seclusion and intense cultivation can lead to diminishing returns under a strained heart and spirit. You just broke through today, so relax well first. No need to rush into cultivation. Besides, later, someone from the past might come to visit us. You should join me in greeting her. Someone from the past? Brother, who is it? Little Yan asked with some curiosity. In her impression, there shouldn't be many who could be called people from the past. And those qualified to come to the Holy Mountain are even fewer. So for a moment, she couldn't think of who it could be. You'll know in a moment. Lu Qing smiled slightly, keeping it a mystery. He already sensed someone approaching the cave mansion. Soon, as Little Yan was still wondering, the voice of the first Saint Master came from outside. Lu Xiaodao, are you in the cave mansion? Let's go, Little Yan. Someone from the past has come. You will certainly be happy to see her. Lu Qing led Little Yan outside. A visit from an old friend is a great joy. Lord Han, it's been a long time. Sister Ling Shuang. At this time, Little Yan also saw Han Ling Shuang and immediately showed surprise and ran over. So the person brother mentioned is you. Ah. Han Ling Shuang was about to greet when she hesitated and looked at Lu Qing. Did the superior know I came to the Holy Mountain? Just now, when I was walking on the mountaintop, I happened to see the palace master's figure approaching. Lu Qing said with a smile. I see. Han Ling Shuang realized. At the same time, she felt more deeply the unfathomable power of Lu Qing. Previously, she hadn't sensed Lu Qing's aura at all. Indeed, even after stepping into the Golden Core realm, the gap in power between her and the superior was still unimaginably vast. Congratulations, Palace Master, on crossing the heavenly tribulation and achieving a mid-grade Golden Core. Lu Qing sensed Han Ling Shuang's aura and was somewhat surprised. From the occasionally fluctuating aura of Han Ling Shuang, it was apparent she had recently succeeded in crossing the tribulation. She still couldn't perfectly control her power, but her aura was incredibly strong, nearly rivaling that of the 3 Saint Masters. It seems nothing can escape your notice, Superior. Han Ling Shuang flashed a bright smile. Ever since receiving the Superior's guidance years back, Ling Shuang went back to diligently cultivate and hone my foundation. Half a month ago, I finally succeeded in crossing the tribulation and luckily refined a mid-grade Golden Core. 10 years ago, after the end of the Holy Meeting, Han Ling Shuang had visited the Holy Mountain seeking guidance from Lu Qing, ultimately receiving his guidance. Understanding the impact of the Golden Core grade on one's path led to Han Ling Shuang suppressing her urge for breakthrough despite being on the verge of crossing the tribulation, investing an additional 10 years in refining her foundation. Ultimately, half a month ago, she triggered the red tribulation cloud, successfully crossed the tribulation, and refined a mid-grade magic power Golden Core. Excited, She only slightly consolidated her cultivation before coming to the holy mountain, eager for Lu Qing to see her cultivation results, to show that she had not failed his guidance. Mid-grade golden core. The three Saint Masters were shocked as they looked at Han Lingshuang. Previously, when they saw Han Lingshuang, they sensed her aura was extraordinarily strong. There seemed to be signs of it faintly rivaling theirs. But they assumed it was due to her practicing some powerful cultivation technique, since Coldwater Palace was one of the secret lands handed down from the previous cultivation era. The depth of its foundation was unknowable. Having high-level techniques as inheritance was quite normal. Unexpectedly, it was because Han Lingshuang had refined a mid-grade golden core. At this moment, the three Saint Masters felt immense envy. Having also received guidance from Lu Qing, they understood the importance of the golden core grade. Han Lingshuang's mid-grade golden core, in terms of potency and potential, far surpassed their low-grade golden core. In other words, at least for now, Han Lingshuang's path was significantly smoother than theirs. It turns out the Palace Master refined a mid-grade golden core. No wonder we felt the Palace Master's aura was unusual earlier. The first Saint Master said with a smile. Lingshuang was just lucky. Without the superior's guidance, I couldn't have refined a mid-grade golden core. Han Lingshuang replied modestly. Lu Qing shook his head. A mid-grade golden core isn't something that can be refined solely through guidance. It's mainly because the Palace Master could endure the monotony and persistently settle and refine the foundation that led to this achievement. The three Saint Masters grew even more envious upon hearing this. Deep regret also stirred within their hearts. Unfortunately, they sought quick success back then and hastily crossed the tribulation to enter the Golden Core realm. Otherwise, if they could have received Lu Qing's guidance before crossing the tribulation, perhaps they might have also had the chance to refine a mid-grade Golden Core. Though a low-grade Golden Core can hope to be refined into a mid-grade one, it remains a challenging path without assurance of success. For the rest of the time, Lu Qing welcomed Han Lingshuang and the others into the cave mansion, where several Golden Core realm cultivators began a discussion on the way. Although they said it was a discussion, it was mainly Lu Qing speaking and the others listening intently. When Lu Qing's guidance ended, Han Lingshuang and the others felt greatly benefited, eager to return immediately to cultivate and absorb the insights gained from the discussion. As Han Lingshuang and the others bid farewell and slowly departed, Lu Qing watched their backs and fell into deep thought. Watching the figures of Han Lingshuang and the others leaving, Lu Qing fell into contemplation. These old friends all now have breakthroughs, stepping into entirely new realms. Although he felt happy for them, he inevitably thought about his own situation. In recent years, especially in the last few years, Lu Qing's cultivation has slowed down significantly. After reaching the perfection of the third transition, there was no progress anymore. No matter how he absorbed spiritual energy, he couldn't make his cultivation rise even a bit, let alone breaking through the bottleneck to step into the fourth transition realm. Lu Qing knows the reason why his cultivation is hard to advance. It's because the purity of his spiritual power is too high. The spiritual charm in the spiritual energy of this world can no longer satisfy his cultivation needs. Unless the heaven and earth Tao sound rings once again, causing the spiritual energy of the entire world to undergo a qualitative change, there might be a possibility for his cultivation to continue advancing. But ever since the last heaven and earth Tao sound rang out, over 10 years have passed, and it hasn't occurred again. Moreover, over these 10+ years, although the heaven and earth rules haven't completely stabilized, they are still undergoing evolution. However, the speed of this evolution is very slow. It is unknown how many years it will take for the evolution to reach the next occurrence of the heaven and earth Tao sound. This means that for quite a long period coming up, Lu Qing's cultivation is unlikely to have any significant improvements. Of course, if he uses spirit stones for cultivation, his cultivation can still advance. But over these years, Lu Qing has already consumed most of the spirit stones he had. He must leave some aside for unforeseen needs. During these years, he also went out attempting to find spirit stone veins but gained very little. This also forces him to use the spirit stones at hand more carefully, not to consume them lightly. Perhaps it's time to explore the outside world? Lu Qing silently pondered in his heart. This notion is not a whimsical thought but has been there for a long time. Ever since he felt the speed of spiritual energy recovery couldn't keep up with his cultivation speed, Lu Qing has been considering this question. His perfect golden core is extremely powerful, even able to easily crush a top-grade golden core. But similarly, to enhance such a powerful magic power golden core, the amount of spiritual energy required is not only vast but also demands high quality. Clearly, this small world can no longer satisfy his cultivation needs. But if he were to cultivate in those middle worlds or even great worlds, it might be different. According to the Jade Scrolls left by those two extraterrestrial visitors, great worlds are vast beyond measure, with various incredible secret treasures and miracles. Within, not only are golden core powerhouses numerous, but even primordial spirit great powers are not rare. It's far beyond comparison with the small world. If he can cultivate there, even as a perfect golden core cultivator, he won't have to worry about the quality of spiritual energy. But although having this notion for a long time, Lu Qing has always been hesitant. Not just because the road ahead is unpredictable after going out, but also because there are many people he cares for in this small world. Let's wait a bit longer. Little Yen has now completed foundation establishment. Let's wait until she crosses the heavenly tribulation and achieves the golden core. Then discuss. After thinking for a while, Lu Qing finally made his decision. Little Yen has just perfected her foundation establishment. To cross the tribulation, she still needs considerable time to refine her foundation. If by the time she achieves the golden core, the spiritual energy of this world hasn't transformed, perhaps he should indeed make a choice. After deciding, Lu Qing concentrated and continued his retreat. Although even if he cultivates now, it's hard to advance his cultivation, it doesn't mean he has nothing to do. Just as well, he can take this opportunity to use his superpower to deduce and organize all he has learned. Be it deducing the spells after the perfect golden core skill, or comprehending divine skills, or honing his skills in chi refinement and alchemy. In any case, aside from improving cultivation, there are many things he can do. Time flies, years go by like a shuttle. It has been 10 years since Han Lingshuang's visit. And during these 10 years, Lu Qing used his superpower to thoroughly sort and deeply comprehend all he had learned. This made his cultivation path clearer and clearer. The greatest achievement among this is that he deduced the perfect golden core skill up to the 6th transition. The two heavenly bestowed small divine powers have also cultivated to the great achievement realm. And many Taoist skills and techniques he had learned in the past have been mastered to the limits he can now control. Therefore, although his cultivation is still stuck at the perfection of the 3rd transition, his strength has skyrocketed, reaching a more unfathomable level. On this day, in the quiet room where Lu Qing was, spiritual energy surged, and a spirit bag in front of him was slowly rotating. Suddenly, all the spiritual energy in the quiet room was swallowed by it in one breath. Then, the spirit bag trembled. A lively and spirited aura emanated from it. Feeling all this, Lu Qing showed a smile. With a spell, the spirit bag immediately flew towards him, affectionately nuzzling against his face, like a small dog. Congratulations to the master for re-refining the artifact spirit of this Chenkuan 1 Chi bag, restoring its peak power. At this time, Yen appeared beside Lu Qing, congratulating him. While looking at Chenkuan 1 Chi bag, there was a complex expression in his eyes. This ancient spiritual artifact from the same era as him has now completely revived. But the artifact spirit within is new, unrelated to the one that existed before. This feeling of things being different than they used to be made him sigh. Yes, I've finally refined it. Lu Qing played with the Chenkuan 1 Chi bag with his fingers, also feeling the difficulty. This Chenkuan 1 Chi bag was the earliest spiritual artifact he obtained back then. However, back then, the artifact spirit inside had already dissipated, leaving only a trace of spiritual nature maintaining it. Later, as spiritual energy recovered, Chenkuan 1 Chi bag was nourished by spiritual energy, and its power gradually restored along with its spiritual nature steadily increasing. Until today, an artifact spirit was finally nurtured anew within. But, unlike Yen, this new artifact spirit has lost all memories of the past. It is now a blank slate, very immature. Simply regards Lu Qing, who nurtured it anew, as family. Other than that, it's just like a newborn baby, understanding nothing yet. No wonder the records state that to refine a spiritual artifact, one must at least be a primordial spirit realm great power to qualify. Just nurturing the artifact spirit of the Chenquan 1 Qi bag again cost me so much time. To create a brand new spiritual artifact from scratch, the resources and energy required would be enormous and unknown. Other than primordial spirit great powers, Golden Core realm cultivators certainly cannot withstand such consumption. Lu Qing thought of his life-bound magical treasure, the Five Elements Gourd. The predecessor of the Five Elements Gourd was Plague Elder's life-bound spiritual artifact, the Plague Gourd. The artifact spirit formed by Plague Elder was completely refined away by him, its spiritual nature extinguished, causing the Plague Gourd's rank to fall and become a treasure. Later, he re-refined the Plague Gourd, transforming it into his life-bound magical treasure, the Five Elements Gourd. But after so many years, under his day and night refinement and nurturing, the Five Elements Gourd still showed no signs of nurturing an artifact spirit, of transforming into a spiritual artifact. He estimates that even as a perfect Golden Core cultivator, wanting to refine and transform the Five Elements Gourd, re-advance it to become a spiritual artifact. Before stepping into the seventh transition realm, it's likely impossible. As Lu Qing pondered, a stream of light suddenly flew from the outside. He grabbed it and checked it with his heart and spirit. Then a touch of joy appeared on his face. Little Yen is finally about to cross the tribulation and breakthrough? In the depths of the 10,000 Great Mountains, the mountain where Lu Qing once crossed the tribulation. No, it should no longer be called a great mountain now. Having been devastated by the Golden Core heavenly tribulation 4 times, the peak has been cut down time and again, now standing only tens of feet high. From originally the most majestic peak, it has turned into a mound much shorter than the surrounding mountain tops. And today, it will endure the ravage of yet another Golden Core tribulation. On the mound, Lu Qing and the others are gathered. This time, many have come to watch little Yen cross the tribulation. Besides the elder doctor and little Li, there are also Wei Shanhai, Wei Xinghe, and Wei Zian among others. Even Mrs. Wei has come. Over 20 years have passed, yet Mrs. Wei's appearance hasn't changed much, still that of a beautiful middle-aged woman. Even her qi blood is quite powerful, possessing the strength of the internal organ realm. However, in her gestures, there is no aura of a martial arts master. It is clear that she has merely strengthened her physical body without corresponding martial arts accomplishments. Little Yen, be very careful crossing the tribulation this time, Mrs. Wei advised little Yen with concern. She doesn't understand cultivation. The strength of her qi blood was forcibly enhanced by the spirit pills little Yen has been giving her over the years. She knows nothing about heavenly tribulations. Only knowing that it is extremely hard to overcome, she is very worried about little Yen. Don't worry, mother. I'll be fine. Little Yen, still in her youthful form, said confidently. That's right, you should have this kind of spirit. Then crossing the tribulation is already 3 parts successful. The elder doctor stroked his beard with a smile, nodded with satisfaction. His aura, as stable as an abyss. 20 years have passed. His cultivation has steadily improved, now almost reaching perfection of the first transformation, not far from breaking through to the second transformation of the Golden Core realm. This cultivation speed is already extremely fast. Bear in mind, the elder doctor had initially refined a top-grade Golden Core and had crossed the 9-fold tribulation thunder of the Golden Cloud heavenly tribulation. His magic power Golden Core is even the highest among top-grade Golden Cores, able to achieve perfection of the first transformation in 20 years. This sort of cultivation speed is considered fast even in those grand worlds. Like the 3 Saint Masters of the Holy Mountain, who were the first to cross the heavenly tribulation and achieve the Golden Core in this world. Even the first Saint Master, with the deepest cultivation now, is still only at first transformation perfection, yet to formally step into the second transformation realm. I understand, Grandpa Chun. Little Yen nodded vigorously. Go, Little Yen. Little Li stepped forward and cheered in a delicate voice. The 5 elements came over, affectionately rubbed its head against Little Yan's hand, boosting her morale. Once everyone had given their reminders, Lu Qing finally stepped forward. Looking at the heroic girl in front of him, he fleetingly recalled the little girl holding a gray bun and gazing at him with joy when he first woke up years ago. Ultimately, he reached out and ruffled Little Yan's hair. Gently, he said, "Cross the tribulation with peace of mind. Your brother is here for everything." Little Yan knows. Feeling the warmth of her brother's palm, Little Yan's heart settled further. She responded softly. All right, go ahead and cross the tribulation. Remember the items your brother gave you. Don't be frugal. Use them when needed. Lu Qing withdrew his hand and then said to the elder doctor, Master, we should head over there first. The elder doctor nodded, took the lead to fly to the nearby peak. Lu Qing waved his sleeve lightly, conjured a cloud that lifted Mrs. Wei and others, transporting them to a safe peak in the distance. The weight of the heavenly tribulation is severe. Without sufficient cultivation, being too close easily results in the heart and spirit being wounded by its immense power. And when Mrs. Wei and the others arrived at the peak miles away, suddenly, a loud thunder crack echoed from the sky. Enormous celestial power emerged from high above. A massive tribulation cloud vortex slowly appeared. Is this the tribulation Little Yen will cross? Mrs. Wei looked at the huge tribulation cloud vortex in the sky. Stunned, she murmured, "She is merely an ordinary family lady." Although she's heard her husband and sons discuss the terror of heavenly tribulations multiple times at home. But hearing and imagining countless times still can't compare to a fraction of the current scene. Is such celestial power really something human power can resist? Watching the apocalyptic scene ahead, Mrs. Wei's heart twisted uncontrollably. Master, the scale of Little Yan's tribulation cloud vortex doesn't fall short of Mr. Chen's tribulation back then. At this moment, Wei Zian beside Mrs. Wei exclaimed. Indeed, Mr. Chen's tribulation was a golden cloud heavenly tribulation. It seems Little Yen will face the same this time. Ma Gu was also shocked. The aura around the two was likewise extraordinary. Clearly, they were both cultivators at the foundation establishment stage. Back then, Mr. Chen's tribulation could even shatter mountains. I wonder if Little Yen can withstand it. Surely, Little Yen reached the perfect foundation establishment realm 10 years ago. Then she honed herself at this realm for a full decade. According to Mr. Chun, Little Yan's foundation is much deeper than his back in the day. Exactly, besides, with the care Lu Qing has for Little Yen, he must have prepared countless means to help her cross the tribulation. So surely there will be no issues. On the other side, Wei Shanhai and Wei Xinghe also began discussing. Listening to her husband's conversations, Mrs. Wei's anxious heart finally eased a bit. And right at this moment, a giant thunder crack echoed again from the sky ahead. Next, a cloud emanating golden light, exuding incredibly terrifying celestial power, began to form slowly. The might of Little Yan's tribulation is even stronger than mine back in the day. It seems she has indeed been diligent in cultivation these years. On the peak beside Little Yan's mound, the elder doctor felt the celestial power coming from above and side. Yes, Master. Little Yen hasn't loosened her cultivation over the years. Lu Qing looked at the golden tribulation cloud gathering above and nodded slightly. Though this was within his expectations, seeing the golden tribulation cloud appear, he finally felt at ease. As long as she crosses the golden cloud heavenly tribulation, Little Yen can refine a top-grade golden core, and her future path will be smooth. As for whether she can cross the tribulation, Lu Qing was quite confident in this. After all, over the past 10 years, he has arranged numerous hardships for this girl. Her foundation has reached an incredibly solid, impenetrable state. Moreover, with the various precious elixirs and magical treasures he prepared, a mere golden cloud heavenly tribulation couldn't possibly harm Little Yen. Boom! Amid the dialogue between master and disciple, the tribulation thunder brood within the golden tribulation cloud finally struck down. Boom! With the last tribulation thunder, Little Yen dispersed it with an incredibly fierce sword chi. The sword chi even soared straight into the azure darkness, slashing into the tribulation cloud, splitting the entire tribulation cloud vortex in half. The tribulation cloud vortex trembled for a moment, ultimately casting a stream of light into Little Yan's body, then slowly dissipated and faded away. A large amount of vitality chi containing the power of laws emerged, enveloping Little Yen. While healing her, it also helped her complete the physical transformation at the Golden Core realm. On the other side, the Elder Doctor and others were somewhat dazed, watching this scene. Master, Little Yan's sword has some of the same flair as when you slashed the heavenly tribulation back then, Lu Qing said with a smile. Listen to you? The Elder Doctor came back to his senses and laughed. Little Yan's sword is much stronger than mine back then. She disbanded the 9th tribulation thunder. The Elder Doctor's shock still lingered. Back then, when he slashed the heavenly tribulation, he only managed to disperse the 8th tribulation thunder. And after slashing out that sword, he also suffered severe injuries, reaching his limit. Yet, after Little Yen passed the 9th tribulation thunder, although she was also seriously injured, her aura remained with some spare strength. Much stronger than himself in those days. Ah Ching, Little Yan's sword had a high and magnificent realm with a hint of opening heaven and earth. Is that the swordsmanship you created? The Elder Doctor said thoughtfully. Yes, precisely the swordsmanship the disciple developed from that sword Dao inheritance I obtained years ago. It was only gradually perfected in recent years, but I didn't expect. Little Yen actually comprehended a hint of heaven-breaking sword intent at the Foundation Establishment realm. Lu Qing nodded. Indeed, the sword chi that Little Yen wielded was no ordinary sword chi. It was a powerful sword chi harboring a hint of heaven-breaking intent. Lu Qing had gained an ancient inheritance from a sword mark in a narrow sky back then. It was the proud supreme skill from Patian Taoist, sky-breaking sword chi. Originally, sky-breaking sword chi was an immensely profound supreme skill, requiring a cultivation at the primordial spirit realm just to be possible to begin. However, Lu Qing possessed a superpower, allowing him to continuously observe and comprehend the sword light personally slashed by Patian Taoist 10,000 years ago through the illusion realm transmission. Over the years, with his observation and comprehension, he managed to comprehend some of its mysteries. And by leveraging his superpower, he conducted deductions and ultimately created a complete swordsmanship before the primordial spirit realm. This swordsmanship originated from sky-breaking sword chi. It can be considered a preparatory cultivation technique for practicing sky-breaking sword chi. Lu Qing named it Little Sky-Breaking Sword. Little Sky-Breaking Sword is a complete inheritance of swordsmanship with not a high entry threshold, attainable at the innate realm and cultivable up to the Golden Core realm. After creating it, Lu Qing taught it to Little Yen. Originally, according to the cultivation progress of Little Sky-Breaking Sword, only after reaching the Golden Core realm was it possible to comprehend some heaven-breaking sword intent. Unexpectedly, Little Yan's talent in the sword Dao was exceptionally high. With years of honing, she unexpectedly comprehended a hint of heaven-breaking sword intent at the Foundation Establishment stage. This is what allowed her to achieve the feat of slashing the heavenly tribulation this time. Unexpectedly, as her realm improved, Little Yan's cultivation talent has become stronger and stronger. It seems that the innate Taoist body she awakened back then must be an extraordinary physique. Lu Qing thought to himself. Back when Little Yen absorbed the liquid of innate essence energy as her master broke through the innate realm, she inadvertently awakened a hint of innate Taoist body intent. Later, her body merged with the origin energy of the world, along with the occasional elixir Lu Qing gave her. The intent of her innate Taoist body grew stronger and stronger. Finally, upon reaching perfection in the Foundation Establishment realm, she completely awakened the physique of the innate Taoist body. Originally, Lu Qing didn't take it too seriously. But as the years passed, Little Yan's cultivation performance became increasingly defying. Lu Qing gradually realized the formidable power of this innate Taoist body. Your swordsmanship is truly formidable, exclaimed the elder doctor. After Lu Qing created little sky-breaking sword, he also allowed him to comprehend it. However, after achieving the Golden Core realm, the elder doctor gradually found his own path in the sword Dao. So he merely contemplated the swordsmanship without actually practicing it. Yet he did not expect the swordsmanship to become so powerful after Lu Qing cultivated it successfully. While the master and disciple were chatting, little Li and 5 elements were still in a state of amazement. There was no helping it. The process through which little Yen crossed the tribulation earlier was simply too shocking. Of the 9 tribulation thunders of the Golden Cloud Heavenly Tribulation, aside from the last 3, the first 6 tribulation thunders didn't pose any trouble to her at all. Even the last 3 tribulation thunders only managed to injure her without driving her to desperation. Especially the most powerful 9th tribulation thunder was dispelled by her in a single strike, even splitting the tribulation cloud vortex in half. From start to finish, crossing the tribulation was so easy that it was hard for little Li and 5 elements, who had nearly been struck dead by the tribulation thunder, to believe their eyes. Has little Yen become this powerful already? After coming back to his senses, 5 elements couldn't resist speaking. Ah Qing has been so strict with little Yan's cultivation over the years. Surely for this very day? Little Li couldn't help but say. In these 10 years, because progression in cultivation was difficult, apart from comprehending divine skills and Taoist skills. The thing Lu Qing did the most was refining little Yan's cultivation, helping her polish and solidify her foundation. Sometimes, while watching from the side, little Li even felt that Lu Qing was overly harsh. Now it seemed, today's easy crossing of the tribulation by little Li could truly be attributed to Lu Qing's strictness back then. Is Ah Qing preparing for something? Little Li subconsciously glanced at Lu Qing. Throughout these years, it could vaguely feel that Lu Qing seemed to be struggling with something. It seemed like something was difficult to resolve decisively. This kind of emotion was rarely found in Lu Qing in earlier times. Previously, no matter what Lu Qing did, he was always very decisive. With these years of strict requirements on little Yan's cultivation, this made little Li keenly aware that Lu Qing might be hiding something from them. All right, little Yan is about to wake up. Let's go over. Lu Qing hadn't noticed little Li's gaze. Seeing the white mist enveloping little Yan gradually dissipating, he understood that her transformation was nearing completion. The group flew towards little Yen. After the devastation of this heavenly tribulation, the mountain peak that originally was just a mound of soil had now been completely leveled. However, from a certain perspective, it might be a good thing for this place. At least, Lu Qing felt that no one would want to come here for tribulation crossing again. The white mist dispersed, and little Yen opened her eyes. Little Yen, congratulations on successfully crossing the heavenly tribulation. That last sword was incredible. Not only did you disperse the tribulation thunder, even the tribulation cloud was split in half by you. Seeing little Yen awakening, little Li immediately began chirping away. In an instant, the place became somewhat lively again. Brother, my next strike will be my strongest attack yet. Be careful. High above, little Yen stood in midair, a long sword in her hand, with a half-foot sword glow flickering. The sharp intent emanating from it startled little Li and the 5 elements, who were watching nearby. No worries. Go ahead and show me. Lu Qing stood with his hands behind his back, unconcerned. The primordial magnetic field around him surged with dark currents, layer upon layer. In the next moment, the long sword in little Yan's hand swung. A dazzling sword light, with an unstoppable force, slashed toward Lu Qing. As it passed, even the space itself wavered. The powerful sword light cut into Lu Qing's field, breaking through multiple layers of defense like a hot knife through butter. It stopped just 3 feet before Lu Qing. Impressive! Lu Qing pinched the sword light with surprise in his eyes. Little Yen, with this strike, even a regular Golden Core realm expert at the 3rd transition might not be able to withstand it. Lu Qing was genuinely a bit surprised. Though the field he set up was only in its most basic form, with many variations yet unperformed. But for little Yen to cut within 3 feet of him with one sword was indeed beyond his expectations. It can be said that with the power of this sword alone throughout the world, aside from him and their master, as well as Little Li and the five elements, it's unlikely that any other Golden Core Realm expert could withstand it. Even those three Saint Masters on the Holy Mountain, if faced with this slash, would have to avoid its edge. Any slightest misstep, and they might even fall because of it. And the one who executed the strike, Little Yen, was currently only a new entry into the Golden Core Realm, having just stabilized her cultivation, not even officially stepping into the first transition of the Golden Core Realm. Is this the effect of the divine power you acquired after crossing the tribulation? Lu Qing asked. Not long ago, after Little Yen successfully crossed her tribulation, she also obtained a small divine power granted by the tribulation cloud vortex. Just now, Lu Qing had sensed divine power surging within the girl. Yes, brother, the divine power I acquired is called Edged. It is a small sword Dao divine power. After using it, it significantly enhances the sharpness of my sword Qi, unmatched in edge. Little Yen replied, It's an excellent divine power, and it suits you well. Lu Qing nodded and said, In the future, you should strive to comprehend this divine power. If you can achieve great success, your sword Dao cultivation might be unparalleled. Aside from our master, no second person could match you. I will, brother, Little Yen earnestly replied. All right, we've finished sparring, let's head back. Now that you've just consolidated your cultivation today and have come out, I've specially prepared some delicious food. Lu Qing said with a smile. Delicious food? Brother, what delicious food did you prepare? Little Yan's eyes lit up upon hearing this. You'll find out when we get back. Lu Qing found the girl's bright eyes amusing. This girl had already become a Golden Core Realm expert, yet she's still such a foodie. The siblings, along with two spiritual beasts, started flying back to the village. However, as they arrived back at the village, they saw someone pacing anxiously in front of their courtyard. Uncle Zhang, is something wrong? Lu Qing asked as he landed in front of the courtyard. The person at the courtyard was, in fact, Grandpa Zhang's eldest son from next door. Ah Qing, you're back. My father suddenly fainted just now, and the elder doctor came to see him, saying that it seems he won't make it. How could that be? Isn't Grandpa Zhang's health usually very good? Lu Qing's expression changed drastically upon hearing this, his figure flashing as he headed towards the Zhang family. What happened to Grandpa Zhang? Little Yan's heart and spirit were also in turmoil, quickly following behind her brother. When they arrived at the Zhang family, Lu Qing saw their master standing beside the bed. And Grandpa Zhang, with a head full of white hair, lay on the bed with his eyes closed, his face as usual, breathing calmly, seemingly without any issues. But Lu Qing immediately noticed something was off. He could sense that Uncle Zhang's vitality was now almost undetectable, like a flickering candle in the wind, always on the verge of extinguishing completely. You have returned, the elder doctor said. Master, why has Grandpa Zhang suddenly become like this? Lu Qing immediately asked. Mr. Zhang's lifespan is nearing its end. He's as an oil lamp running out of oil, with not many days left. The elder doctor sighed. How could this be? Lu Qing activated his superpower immediately, looking towards the bedridden Uncle Zhang. Several breaths later, his body trembled, because the information revealed by the superpower also indicated that Uncle Zhang had indeed reached the point of nearing the end of his lifespan, like an oil lamp running out of oil. Moreover, such a situation was difficult to cure with ordinary medicine stones. It's an indication of the approaching end of life, a manifestation of the heaven and earth rules, not something that regular medicine stones can resolve. Generally speaking, in this world, the longest lifespan in the postnatal realm could reach up to 120 years. Even martial arts grandmasters who have refined their physical body to the state of postnatal perfection cannot surpass this lifespan limit. Only by stepping into the innate realm, undergoing a metamorphosis of life's level, can one have a lifespan of 200 years. Uncle Zhang is now over 90 years old, theoretically not reaching the limit of his lifespan yet. But in his youth, he worked hard day and night to support his family, consuming a lot of his vitality. It's already fortunate that he hasn't developed any chronic illnesses given his physically strong constitution. Over the years, although Lu Qing has often tended to his body, coupled with the nourishment of spiritual energy in Jili village, maintaining his health well. Yet, the lifespan consumed due to his hard work in youth is ultimately difficult to fully recover from. Moreover, lacking cultivation, the amount of qi blood his body could hold was always limited. So now, although the body still appears healthy, it has already reached the time when the end is near. Ah Qing, is my father really not going to make it? Not even you can save him. Hearing the conversation between the master and disciple, Uncle Zhang's eldest son anxiously said, "Yes, Grandpa Zhang's lifespan has come to an end. Even for me, it is difficult to save." Lu Qing nodded. Hearing these words, Uncle Zhang's sons and daughters-in-law all showed expressions of despair. In their hearts, Lu Qing is an immortal. If even he says he can't save him, it means their father has indeed reached the final step. Seeing the expressions of Uncle Zhang's relatives, Lu Qing remained silent. Actually, there was still a way to save Uncle Zhang's condition. If one could find a spiritual medicine that could extend life and let him take it, perhaps there might still be hope. But a spiritual medicine capable of breaking the limits of heaven and earth rules is exceedingly precious. Even a golden core true man, or even a primordial spirit great power would scramble for such a supreme spiritual medicine. Since the revival of this world, no such spiritual medicine has ever appeared. So this method is simply not feasible. At this time, the elder doctor said, "Mr. Zhang is currently asleep, but if he continues to sleep like this, at most in one day he will pass away. If you have anything else you want to say to him, I can use the golden needle method to awaken him. But after awakening, he will only have an hour of clarity. Whether or not to use this method, you must consider it yourselves." Uncle Zhang's sons and daughters-in-law, upon hearing this, looked at each other. But for a while no one could decide. Finally, Uncle Zhang's eldest son looked at Lu Qing. "Ah Qing, what do you think would be best?" "Uncle Zhang, you are the eldest son, so you should be the one to decide this matter, but regardless of the choice, I believe Grandpa Zhang won't blame you," Lu Qing said slowly. Seeing Lu Qing say this, Uncle Zhang's eldest son struggled with his expression for a while, finally making up his mind. Father collapsed suddenly, and there's still much to be confessed. So please, elder doctor, awaken him to see if he has any instructions to leave before he goes. Okay. The elder doctor did not hesitate and immediately applied the golden needle method, pricking Uncle Zhang a few times. Very soon, under the stimulation of the golden needle, Uncle Zhang's complexion gradually became rosy, and then he slowly opened his eyes. "Father, you're awake?" Uncle Zhang's sons and daughters-in-law quickly stepped forward. "What happened to me? Why are you all here? Ah Qing, you're here too?" Seeing so many people in the room, Uncle Zhang looked a bit confused. "Father, it's like this. You suddenly fainted just now." The eldest son stepped forward and quickly explained everything, especially relaying the words of the elder doctor and Lu Qing. "So that's how it is. I am going to see your mother soon, am I?" Uncle Zhang understood after listening. However, he did not panic. Instead, he appeared relieved and calmly accepted the matter. "Child, I am unfilial. The elder doctor said you could pass away peacefully asleep, but I am afraid you have some instructions that you haven't been able to convey, so I had the elder doctor forcefully wake you up," the eldest son said tearfully. "No problem, you did very well. There are indeed some things I want to entrust to you." Uncle Zhang shook his head and said, "Take out that wooden box from under the bed." The eldest son quickly drew out a wooden box from under the bed. Lu Qing and the others then walked out of the house, leaving the time to Uncle Zhang's family. Uncle Zhang gestured for his son to open the wooden box. Inside were some land deeds and items like silver and copper coin. Uncle Zhang reached for those land deeds. "Over the years, I have always let you two brothers separate the family, but you never wanted to. Now I am going to see your mother soon. After I leave, you should divide the family. These land deeds are the contracts for our family land. You two brothers, divide them equally, half for each. As for this money and silver, it is what I've slowly saved over the years. You also take it and divide it. Bit by bit, Uncle Zhang arranged the family matters clearly. Uncle Zhang also said, "What I need to entrust to you is just these. You must remember, after I leave, you two brothers must remain united and in harmony, support each other, and don't quarrel." "Father, we will remember," the two sons said, trying hard to suppress their grief. "If there's something you can't resolve, you can ask Ah Qing for help, but don't bother him with trivial matters. Ah Qing is an immortal and does immortal things. Don't trouble him with those trivial matters." Uncle Zhang admonished again. "We understand." "Okay. Now go and invite Ah Qing and little Yen in. I have some things to say to them." Lu Qing stood in the courtyard, gazing at the drifting clouds in the sky, lost in thought. Uncle Zhang's eldest son came out from the house at this time. "Ah Qing, father says there are things he wishes to say to you and little Yen." Lu Qing returned to his senses and nodded slightly. "Okay." Inside the house, Uncle Zhang saw Lu Qing and little Yen coming in, and a smile appeared on his face. His complexion became increasingly rosy. "You all go out first. Let me speak with Ah Qing and little Yen alone." After everyone went out, little Yen couldn't suppress her emotions any longer and started sobbing, "Grandpa Zhang." Lu Qing also looked sadly at the old man in front of him. Uncle Zhang's complexion was rosy, looking very healthy, not at all like someone at death's door. But he knew this was just the radiant glow before death. The life force that could have continued for a day was concentrated and burned out in this half-hour facade. "Girl, don't cry." Uncle Zhang reached out and patted little Yan's head. "You're now an immortal who can fly. Why are you still crying?" "But Grandpa Zhang." Little Yan wanted to say something, but couldn't say anything. She was now also a cultivator at the Golden Core realm, naturally capable of sensing the situation within Grandpa Zhang. "Don't be sad. This old man has lived over 90 years, and to die without illness or disaster is better than most. It's a blessing. You should be happy for me. Those old friends who grew up with me, none of them lived as long as I did. I should go see them too." Uncle Zhang smiled and comforted little Yen. When little Yan's emotions improved, Uncle Zhang looked at Lu Qing again. "I must thank you, Ah Qing. If it weren't for you setting up an array in the village, us old folks wouldn't have spent our final years so comfortably." "It is what Ah Qing should do," Lu Qing said softly. "In recent years, in the village, elders of Uncle Zhang's generation have passed away one by one, mostly. Thanks to the nourishment of the village's spiritual energy, these elders, in the end, passed away without illness or pain at the end of their lifespan. This is also one of Lu Qing's contributions to the village. You and little Yen are good kids. It's a pity back then we couldn't protect your parents, letting them face that incident. I still feel guilty thinking back on it now." Uncle Zhang sighed. "Grandpa Zhang, there's no need to say such things. It was the Black Wolf Gang's fault at the time, and besides, I avenged my parents. But after all, it's us elders who couldn't stop your parents in time. But it's okay. I'm about to see them too. When I see them, I can tell them how incredible you and little Yen are. You've already become immortals." Uncle Zhang held Lu Qing's hand, talking at length. He talked until his breath gradually weakened. Finally, his hand loosened. With a smile on his face, he quietly closed his eyes. "Grandpa Zhang." Little Yen cried out a sad sound, unable to hold back any longer, and burst into tears. Hearing this, people outside the room rushed in, and then a chorus of cries rang out. Lu Qing slowly walked out of the house, came to the courtyard, and gazed at the distant mountains, lost in thought. In his heart, he thought about how, back then, when he just arrived in this world, the old man's various cares for him and his sister. Those scenes, though more than 20 years have passed. Thinking about it now, it is still vivid, like it was yesterday. Uncle Zhang's funeral was not held very grand according to his own wishes. It was simply arranged and finally, as per the old man's wishes, buried beside the graves of little Yan's grandfather and parents. During the funeral arrangements, Lu Qing and little Yen both stayed up the night guarding the spirit for the old man. To have two Golden Core realm cultivators guard the spirit, and one of them being the strongest in the world. Uncle Zhang might be the only mortal with such an honor across many worlds. In the days following the funeral, Lu Qing became noticeably more reticent. He frequently gazed up at the sky, lost in thought, not knowing what he was pondering. One day, he went to the half-mountain small courtyard to play chess with his master. Suddenly, the elder doctor spoke. "Ah Qing, have you been troubled by something lately?" Lu Qing was taken aback, and upon returning to consciousness, he realized that his recent state had been observed by his master. After thinking for a moment, he decided to speak truthfully. "Master, your disciple has been contemplating a matter recently. What matter is troubling you?" "Your disciple wishes to leave this world and explore the outside world." "Explore the outside world?" The elder doctor's hand paused, slowly returning the chess piece to the chess box, looking at Lu Qing. "You say you want to leave this world?" Lu Qing had once mentioned other worlds to the elder doctor, so he was somewhat familiar with it. "Yes." Lu Qing nodded. "Master, the magic power golden core I've condensed is somewhat special, with relatively strong power, and now the spiritual energy of this world can no longer enhance my cultivation. Not to hide from the master, my cultivation has not progressed even a little for more than 10 years. Unless the heaven and earth Tao sound echoes again, further transforming the spiritual energy. Only then might my cultivation make a breakthrough. But I estimate that even if the heaven and earth Tao sound echoes once more, it won't take long before my cultivation might again stagnate due to spiritual energy reasons." "Is it really like this?" Upon hearing Lu Qing's words, the elder doctor was internally shocked. Since Lu Qing entered the Golden Core realm, he could no longer see through his disciple's true cultivation, unaware that he hadn't progressed in his cultivation for over a decade. Looking at Lu Qing's calm face, the elder doctor finally understood why he wanted to leave this realm and explore outside. This disciple of his was astonishingly talented in cultivation. From the day he officially began cultivating, his cultivation speed was astonishingly fast, shocking the world. More impressive than any genius. Since the recovery of spiritual energy, he progressed rapidly, crossing the Golden Core tribulation in a short time, becoming the #1 in the world. Such a peerless genius, yet his cultivation hadn't advanced even a bit in over a decade. To be honest, the elder doctor already felt that his disciple's Tao heart was strong for enduring until now. Thinking about this, the elder doctor asked, "However, it isn't easy to leave this world, right? The journey to other worlds should also be challenging. From the relics left by the 2 alien Golden Core realm cultivators your disciple once slew, there are star map coordinates of various worlds in the outside world, which can guide cultivators to traverse the stars. There's also a flying boat treasure to span the stars, so Master need not worry." "Seems, Ah Qing, you've already made plans," the elder doctor said. "Yes, previously I hadn't set out because of little Yen. Now that the girl has also entered the Golden Core realm, this world scarcely has anyone who can threaten her, so I'm also able to travel far in peace." Lu Qing nodded. "You mean to not take little Yen with you?" The elder doctor was somewhat surprised. Little Yen has just crossed the tribulation. The coming decades are her time to consolidate her realm and improve her cultivation, not suitable for venturing out. Moreover, the world I wish to go to is filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers, many formidable beings. The road ahead is unpredictable. Even as your disciple, I'm not confident I can definitely protect little Yen completely. So your disciple intends to first explore alone. If in the future I can establish myself in the outside world, then I will consider bringing little Yen over. Lu Qing revealed his plan. Traversing the stars isn't a simple task. There are still many unknown dangers involved. Even confident as Lu Qing is, he doesn't want little Yen to undertake the risk. After all, the girl is different from him. Although she has condensed a powerful top-grade golden core, she hasn't nearly reached the limits of this world. Even if she stays to cultivate in this world, she can still improve her cultivation. That's fine. But speaking to little Yen might not be easy, right? The elder doctor showed a slight smile. He knew how much the girl was attached to Lu Qing. If she learns that she can't see Lu Qing for several decades, she's bound to throw a tantrum. Your disciple will persuade little Yen. The girl is a golden core realm cultivator now. She'll understand. Despite saying this, when really facing little Yen and seeing her expectant eyes, Lu Qing, who has a solid Tao heart and remains expressionless even in the face of heavenly tribulation, felt somewhat nervous inside. Brother, you said you have something important to discuss. What is it? Little Yen looked at Lu Qing expectantly. Here's the thing, little Yen. Lu Qing calmed his mind and slowly laid out his plans. That's mainly it. I want to leave this world for a while and seek a somewhat stronger world for cultivation. After speaking, Lu Qing felt a bit uneasy inside. So, that's it? I thought brother was going to talk about something really important. However, contrary to his expectations, little Yen was surprisingly calm after hearing. Little Yen, aren't you angry? Lu Qing was stunned. How could I be? Little Yen shook her head. Actually, even if you didn't tell me, I had some guesses. Over the years, your demands on my cultivation have become much stricter. At that time, I had a sense that you seemed to be preparing for something. It's just that since you didn't say anything, I didn't ask. It wasn't until today that I found out it was because your realm and cultivation had hit a bottleneck, and you hadn't progressed in over 10 years. Is it because you were waiting for me to cross the tribulation that you've never set out? Little Yen. Seeing little Yen so calm, Lu Qing was momentarily dazed. After a moment, he reached out and ruffled the girl's hair with a complex expression. It seems my dear sister has really grown up. It's my fault for always treating you like a child. True, although little Yen is already strong in the Golden Core realm, in Lu Qing's heart, she's always been that obedient little sister. So from time to time, he would subconsciously still treat her like a child. Now it seems his mindset really needs to change. Brother, is the world you wish to go to very far from us? Little Yen asked. Without a special flying boat treasure, even a primordial spirit great power, relying solely on their own strength to traverse the starry sky, might take decades or even 100 years to possibly reach. That far? Little Yen was shocked. She is now in the Golden Core realm. Her speed is quite extraordinary. Even to cross the great states of the world, it wouldn't take many days. And those above the Golden Core realm like primordial spirit great powers, their speed must be incredibly terrifying. Even such powerful beings would need decades to 100 years to cross the starry sky. She couldn't imagine what an immense distance that must be. Don't worry, I have a void-flying boat. Traversing the starry sky isn't difficult and won't take as long. If everything goes smoothly, it should take at most a few years to reach that world. A few years? Little Yan's eyes brightened. Does that mean if you want to come back, it won't take much time either? That's right. So this time I can't take you with me. I'll come to get you once I've settled and ensured it's safe. Okay. I'll wait at home for your return. The girl nodded repeatedly, feeling much more at ease inside. To be honest, when she first heard her brother wanted to travel to another world, it was impossible not to feel nervous. The starry sky is vast, who knows when brother could come back. But if it takes less than 10 years to go and return, that's different. In that time, she might just spend a couple of sessions in closed cultivation. Brother, when do you plan to leave? In a few days. I'll accompany you for a few more days. Lu Qing was also in high spirits. He hadn't expected what he thought would be the hardest part to pass ended so smoothly. What surprised him even more was that the person he thought would be the hardest to convince, little Yen, was persuaded so easily. But when it came to little Li, Lu Qing encountered difficulties. No way, I want to go with you. When little Li heard Lu Qing's intention to leave this world, he immediately said. His tone was firm, without the slightest hesitation. Little Li, the world I'm going to is full of powerful beings, even with many primordial spirit great powers. I don't care. I want to go with you. Lu Qing was about to persuade, but little Li interrupted him without listening. Next, no matter how Lu Qing tried to persuade him, little Li insisted on following Lu Qing out of this world. In the end, it was little Yen who mediated. Brother, why not take little Li with you? But, Didn't you say that little Lee's parents might not have perished in the last cultivation era but left this world with that demon emperor? Perhaps taking little Lee along, you might find out something about his parents. Hearing this, Lu Qing hesitated. Over the years, ever since little Lee reached the Golden Core, he had shared with him some information about his origins. Only now, with little Yan's reminder, did he remember this matter. Little Lee, upon hearing this, looked at Lu Qing with even more bright eyes. Facing the little one's gaze, Lu Qing pondered for a while before finally nodding. All right, but little Lee, you must understand that what we said about your parents is just a guess. There's no confirmation that they really left this world back then. Also, the last cultivation era was tens of thousands of years ago. Even if they left, going out is like finding a needle in a haystack. There's a very slim chance of finding any news about them. So be prepared mentally. I understand. I just want to go with you, Ah Qing. Little Lee earnestly nodded. All right then, in a few days you will leave with me, Lu Qing reluctantly said. However, he thought about how the little one possessed the skill of divine skills and could change its size at will. In fact, taking him along wasn't that inconvenient. He originally wanted little Lee to stay and keep little Yen company, but the little one was just that persistent. 5 elements on the side, seeing little Lee could leave with Lu Qing, also had the urge to follow. This time, after giving it a thought, Lu Qing simply agreed. After all, taking one is the same as taking 2. Moreover, 5 elements is his enslaved spiritual beast, and he's unsure if the enslavement mark would remain effective over such long distances. So he may as well take them both. He originally thought of leaving them to accompany little Yen. Now, since they're all going, he worries more about little Yen being lonely. His concerns, however, made little Yen laugh. Don't worry, brother. Grandpa Chun and the villagers are here, and if I get bored, I can always visit Sister Lingshuang to cultivate with her. It really seems like my little sister has grown up. Lu Qing found comfort in his sister's reassurances and simply ruffled her hair one last time, saying no more. In the following days, Lu Qing did nothing but necessary cultivation daily. The remaining time was spent accompanying little Yen, fishing, gathering herbs, then whipping up delicious meals together, reliving all the experiences from their childhood. 3 days later, at the half-mountain small courtyard, Lu Qing dressed lightly, with little Lee and 5 elements each perched on his shoulder. His master and little Yen stood behind him. Master, I'm ready to depart. Be careful on the way. In other words, don't easily engage in fights. Prioritize your safety, the elder doctor advised. I understand, master. Brother, come back soon. Little Yan's eyes were misty. Although she had been very strong these past days, she couldn't suppress her emotions as Lu Qing was truly about to leave. Rest assured, within 50 years, whether I establish myself in the new world or not, I'll return. Lu Qing ruffled the girl's hair. This was the timeline he set for himself. Though 50 years is long, for little Yen and his master in the Golden Core realm, it's a blink of an eye. Bear in mind, a Golden Core expert, even just entering the realm, possesses lifespans extending over 1,000 years. By the way, master, I've left a puppet Dharma body at the Jade Cave, quietly cultivating. Should you need any assistance, you can summon it. And this Jade Talisman, it's a token to my cave mansion's array in the Holy Mountain. If you ever wish to cultivate there, you can enter freely with this token. Lu Qing handed over a Jade Talisman to his master. All right, I understand. The elder doctor accepted the Jade Talisman. Little Yen, I'm leaving now. Finally, Lu Qing ruffled little Yan's hair one more time. He summoned the void flying boat, carrying little Lee and 5 elements alongside him, became a streak of light, and soared into the high heavens. High above the skies, the void ship transformed into a streak of light, ascending rapidly under Lu Qing's command. Soon they entered the layer of celestial gale. Instantly, the vast celestial gales and celestial thunder surged towards the void ship, seeking to obliterate this foreign object. The terrifying might, even a Golden Core realm expert, would find it difficult to resist. Without a magical treasure as protection, one might instantly turn to ash. Fortunately, the void-flying boat's material was extremely peculiar, and the arrays within it were extraordinarily mysterious. Numerous celestial gales and thunders landed on the ship, yet not only did they cause no harm. Instead, like mud cows entering the sea, they were quickly absorbed by the flying boat and, through the array's transformation, converted into its own power. This made the void-flying boat's speed increase instead of decrease, swiftly breaking through the gale layer, arriving in front of a chaotic membrane, plunging straight into it. Soon after, Lu Qing felt a blur before his eyes, arriving in a vast open area. In the emptiness all around, the front was a sparkling starry sky. Was that the world membrane just now? Lu Qing turned back to look. Behind him was a vast world, wrapped in a chaotic membrane, emitting a faint glimmer in the empty starry sky. Even the pressure of a small world is so strong. How unimaginable would the more powerful middle and large worlds be? Lu Qing felt the immense power of that world, his heart in awe. Standing on his shoulder, little Li and the five elements also had expressions full of astonishment. The first time observing a complete world up close in the starry sky, their heart and spirit were greatly impacted. Even the Golden Core realm Dao heart stirred immensely. The man and two spiritual beasts observed for a long time. Lu Qing even felt his Dao heart becoming much sturdier. He turned to look at the starry sky ahead. Let's go. Hope better sceneries await us ahead. Under the urging of his heart and spirit, the void-flying boat transformed into a streak of light once more, flying towards the brilliant starry sky far away. Huh? After entering the starry sky, the void-flying boat's speed increased significantly. Is it because there's no longer the suppression of world rules? This urging made Lu Qing immediately discover the rapid acceleration of the void-flying boat. In a short period, it had already surpassed the speed limit he could achieve in his home world. Additionally, the mana consumption was much smaller. With a little thought, he understood the reason. In his home world, whether magical treasure or cultivator's flying speed, were all suppressed by the heaven and earth rules, having a certain limit. Once approaching that limit, a warning from the heaven and earth rules would be received. If he insisted on ignoring the warning to continue speeding up, it might even trigger the heavenly Dao's will, leading to punishment, being directly expelled out of the world. But in this starry sky, without the suppression of the heavenly Dao's will, nor atmospheric restrictions, the void ship's speed naturally soared rapidly, far exceeding the past. Great, in this case, perhaps the time spent on the journey might be less than I anticipated. A joy rose in Lu Qing's heart, continuously increasing the void ship's speed. However, after the ship's speed exceeded 100 times the home world's speed limit, he suddenly felt a pang of fear. The consumption rate of his internal mana began increasing dramatically. In an instant, 1/10 was already gone, startling Lu Qing into promptly slowing down the ship a bit. Feeling the consumption of internal mana return to normal, Lu Qing finally breathed a sigh of relief. One should know, with his perfect golden core strength, even 1/10 is quite astonishing. Even the full cultivation of a top-grade golden core third transition cultivator would be far inferior. It seems that even in the starry sky, one cannot recklessly push the speed. 100 times the home world speed limit is a critical point. Beyond this critical point, every slight increase in speed requires exponentially more mana. Lu Qing's heart filled with understanding. Having realized this, he no longer continued to increase speed. Keeping the void-flying boat barely at nearly 100 times the home world speed limit, then tossed a spirit stone into the boat's array. The flight of the void-flying boat can be driven purely by mana or by spirit stone. In the starry sky, where the situation is unknown and potential dangers await, Lu Qing naturally won't excessively expend mana, so he simply opted to drive the boat mainly with spirit stones. Dividing a sliver of heart and spirit to control the boat's flight, Lu Qing also took out a star map to double-check, to avoid losing his way. In the dark starry sky, the void-flying boat continued its forward flight. 10 days later, Lu Qing found that the starry sky ahead still hadn't changed in the slightest. The surrounding was also dark, except for the occasional drifting meteor. there was almost nothing else. And the glow of the home world behind had long disappeared. No wonder the home world isn't recorded in the star map. This dark void is so vast. Lu Qing's mind was secretly shocked. One must know he was piloting the void flying boat, flying at 100 times the home world speed limit for 10 straight days. Such a distance, even a primordial spirit realm powerhouse might need several months, traveling day and night, to possibly cross. More importantly, even so, Lu Qing hadn't seen any sign of crossing this dark void. But this was within his expectations. If this dark void was so easy to traverse, the primordial spirit powers from the last cultivation era, who explored outwards, wouldn't have returned empty-handed or gone missing without a trace. So Lu Qing did not lose heart and patiently continued to steer the void ship forward. Like this, another month passed, and the void ship still had not flown out of the dark and void area. But on this day, Lu Qing suddenly felt the ship vibrate and start to rotate in place, almost losing his control. At the same time, there was a powerful spatial force pulling the void ship, trying to drag it forward continuously. Spatial turbulence? And such powerful spatial turbulence. Lu Qing was shocked. It turned out that ahead was a large area of spatial turbulence, and the range was extremely wide. Even with the strength of his divine soul power, he couldn't sense its boundary. Ah Qing, it's spatial turbulence, we can't go any further. Otherwise, we'll get trapped inside and won't be able to escape. At this moment, Little Li also issued a warning. As a spiritual beast with space divine ability, it could sense the spatial turbulence ahead, filled with violent and twisted spatial power. Once trapped inside, they would be in big trouble. I know. Lu Qing also understood the severity of the situation and immediately controlled the void ship to retreat. Fortunately, they were only on the outskirts of the spatial turbulence, so it was quite easy to break free from the spatial binding force and retreat. However, after retreating, sensing the spatial turbulence ahead, Lu Qing became troubled. In his perception, he couldn't sense the boundaries of the spatial turbulence at all. Going forward was definitely not an option. Once drawn into the depths of the turbulence, who knows what might happen? If sealed by a spatial vortex, it would truly be a hopeless situation. It seems we can only try going in other directions. After some consideration, Lu Qing decided to steer the void ship to the right, hoping to find a way around the spatial turbulence on either side. However, after steering the void ship at high speed for 2 days to the right, his expression became ugly once more. The spatial turbulence remained ahead, showing no signs of reaching the edge. Could this band of spatial turbulence stretch across the entire starry sky? Lu Qing thought incredulously, although he knew it was impossible. The flight over the last 2 days told him. The area covered by the spatial turbulence far exceeded his expectations. Even if it didn't span the entire starry sky, it was certainly an unimaginably vast expanse. Ah Qing, what do we do now? Little Li looked at the spatial turbulence stretching before them with some helplessness. Lu Qing calmed down and thought, it's not good to keep going this way. If the area covered by this spatial turbulence is larger than we anticipated, we may deviate from the star map's guidance. What do you plan to do, Ah Qing? Little Li asked. We have to take a risk. Lu Qing took out a piece of middle-grade spirit stone and tossed it into the array of the void ship. Then, he surged his heart and spirit. Layers of arrays on the ship lit up, and powerful spatial power swirled around the ship. In the next moment, a spatial vortex appeared ahead, and the void ship dove into it and vanished. Not long after, in a brilliant patch of starry sky, another spatial vortex appeared, and a somewhat shabby, ancient silver ship emerged from it. Ah Qing, we've made it out. Seeing the magnificent starry sky around, Little Li shouted the instant it could. Did it work? Feeling the tranquility around, Lu Qing finally relaxed. Sure enough, he guessed correctly. The void ship's ability to traverse space could indeed cross the spatial turbulence. After all, those 2 extraterrestrial visitors initially realized the world was Homestead, because they triggered an ancient transmission array, and combined with the void ship's ability to traverse space, they crossed more than half of the immortal domain and appeared on the other side of the home world. This proves that traversing space can span that spatial turbulence area. Crash. At this moment, a crisp sound interrupted Lu Qing's thoughts. Looking up, he saw the middle-grade spirit stone he placed into the array had already developed a crack. This was a sign of the spirit stone's spiritual power exhaustion, so Lu Qing immediately replaced it with a low-grade spirit stone. I didn't expect that it would consume a middle-grade spirit stone. Lu Qing felt a bit distressed. Over the last 2 days, the reason he hadn't immediately resorted to space traversal was the uncertainty regarding the actual extent of the spatial turbulence. He worried that the distance of space traversal wouldn't be enough, ending up trapped in spatial turbulence. To prevent this, he decided to maximize the void ship space traversal ability at the cost of 1 middle-grade spirit stone. Now, it seemed the result was quite successful. At least, they managed to cross the spatial turbulence area. Yet losing a piece of middle-grade spirit stone still caused Lu Qing some distress. Middle-grade spirit stones are extremely valuable, and he didn't have many. Throughout this journey, he primarily used low-grade spirit stones to power the ship. To suddenly lose one, he can't deny the pain. However, in this way, Lu Qing truly understood the reason why the primordial spirit great powers from the previous cultivation era couldn't find a path in the starry sky. It must have been due to the spatial turbulence. Keep in mind, skills like spatial relocation are extremely mysterious. Only those with profound realms, who have endured many tribulations, could possibly master them. And according to what the old dragon turtle said, most primordial spirit realm cultivators in the homeworld back then were at a similar level. Nearly all were just barely entering the primordial spirit realm. Lu Qing speculated that the few who were stronger, at most reached the 2nd or 3rd tribulation. Those at the primordial spirit realm level, even with some understanding of the space Tao without special exotic treasures of space, likely couldn't cross that spatial turbulence area. Perhaps this is why none of the primordial spirit great powers who left the home world have returned over tens of thousands of years. It's uncertain whether they were all wiped out in the spatial turbulence, or managed to surpass the barrier and succeed in breaking free. Lu Qing thought inside. Of course, all this was merely his speculation. To know the truth, unless one day he encounters cultivators from the previous cultivation era or their descendants. After adjusting his emotions, Lu Qing took out the star map to start locating his position. Earlier, to ensure crossing that space turbulence area, he maximized the void ship's space traversal ability. Now he had no idea where they ended up. Have we already formally entered the Great Origin Immortal Domains region? Soon, after activating the star map and a round of surveying and calculation, a hint of joy appeared on Lu Qing's face. Now, their location already belonged to the Great Origin Immortal Domain. Although still somewhat remote from the center, it was no longer an barren area. The void ship is indeed formidable, crossing distances in this space traversal equal to years of journey for primordial spirit realm great powers. With this thought, Lu Qing felt losing that middle-grade spirit stone was less painful. Still, despite this knowledge, he'd hesitate to use another middle-grade spirit stone for travel. Let's travel by conventional means next, and enjoy the Great Origin Immortal Domain's starry delights. Having made his decision, Lu Qing continued to guide the ship, following the star map's prompts toward his destination. In the following days, Lu Qing and Little Li, as they traveled, enjoyed the surrounding celestial views. Initially, it felt enchanting, but after several days it turned monotonous. Aside from Lu Qing piloting the ship, Little Li and 5 Elements simply started secluded cultivation. Of course, Lu Qing did not focus entirely on the journey. He cultivated the divine separation technique, needing only a sliver of heart and spirit to steer the ship. Most of his time was spent cultivating and interpreting Taoist techniques. Thus, months passed again. During the journey, Lu Qing also discovered several worlds. But those worlds were mostly small worlds, quite far from his goal. Thus, he did not approach them, only passing by. However, this day, when the void ship was passing by another world, suddenly, the whole ship trembled, seeming to have collided with something. At the same time, a chilling voice suddenly rang out. How lucky for me to encounter some little brats traveling the starry skies. Come down now. As the chilling voice faded, a gigantic black energy hand suddenly appeared in the starry sky, reaching for the void-flying boat. A primordial spirit realm expert. Lu Qing was suddenly alarmed. This abruptly appearing black energy hand wielded tremendous power, far beyond what the Golden Core realm could unleash. Only a great power beyond the Golden Core realm might possess such divine skill. The black energy hand approached with the form of a celestial net, reaching for the void-flying boat. The surrounding space was suppressed and solidified, making the boat almost unable to move. Lu Qing knew there was no time for hesitation. His gaze instantly sharpened. An icy sword energy emerged from him, and the layers of his golden core erupted, driving him to his strongest state in an instant. The next moment, an extremely sharp sword chi was slashed out by him. After being converted by the array within the void-flying boat, it transformed into an immense sword chi, soaring to strike at the black energy hand. Boom! The sword chi collided with the black energy hand. Powerful energy erupted, causing waves of warped space ripples around. The massive force collision didn't slice through the black energy hand but caused it to tremble slightly, weakening its suppression over the space within. Taking this opportunity, Lu Qing immediately activated the Void Ship's space-shifting capability. As the spirit stones in the array shattered, a space vortex appeared, and the void-flying boat vanished from the black energy hand's grasp. What? The previous chilling voice was shocked to find his magic palm grasping at air. A pitch-black figure suddenly appeared. But no matter how he sensed, he couldn't discover the traces of the just-vanished flying boat. Did they really escape? The black figure couldn't believe it. His Daluo Purgatory Palm was a well-known ultimate technique. Once unleashed, even an initial primordial spirit expert found it hard to escape. Using it to capture a few Golden Core juniors, it actually failed? What exotic treasure was that dilapidated flying boat that it could still pierce through space under his divine suppression to flee? Ordinary space spiritual artifacts don't have such capabilities. Ancestor, what happened? At this moment, several figures appeared, half-kneeling to the black figure. They all had powerful auras, surprisingly all late-stage Golden Core experts. Nothing. I just happened to be spiritually roaming the star sky and found a few juniors, intended to capture them, but they unexpectedly escaped from me. The black figure waved his hand, pretending to be unconcerned. To escape from Ancestor's grasp. Upon hearing this, the figures all looked shocked. They deeply understood how terrifying Ancestor's divine skills were. For them to escape Ancestor, could they also be primordial spirit great powers? Ignoring his subordinate's astonishment, the black figure gazed into the distant starry sky. His heart stirred. Just now, that sword chi carried a hint of an intention to cleave through heaven and earth. Could it be that Junior is a disciple of that legendary sect? The black figure's heart felt a chill, far from the calm on his surface. If that boy indeed was from that sect, he would have poked a hornet's nest. If only he had gone all out earlier to capture them completely. Now that they escaped, it feared endless future problems. While the black figure was regretful, in a distant part of the starry sky millions of miles away, a space vortex appeared and the void-flying boat emerged from it. The moment it came out, Lu Qing's heart and spirit surged wildly, sensing all around. When he realized everything was calm and no one pursued, he let out a sigh of relief. The situation was urgent just now. He didn't have time to replace the spirit stones, only using the remaining spiritual charm on the array to activate the space traverse. The distance crossed was quite limited. If that primordial spirit great power had any divine skills or magical treasures to chase them, it would have been troublesome. Now it seemed, their luck held, and they indeed escaped. Only then did Lu Qing notice his palm was sweaty. Although just a brief clash, it was the greatest crisis he faced since his cultivation. The power of that black energy hand was overwhelmingly strong, nearly suppressing the void ship. The attacker was definitely not an ordinary primordial spirit great power. Had he not reacted swiftly, he might have been suppressed and unable to escape. Fortunately, although that primordial spirit great power was formidable, he hadn't reached the realm of understanding the space Tao. Unable to track the void ship's traces and space shift here. Otherwise, they would find it incredibly difficult to escape completely. Luckily, the insights from these past years revealed some wondrous uses of the void ship, or this time might have been disastrous. Lu Qing felt lucky in his heart. Earlier, being able to shake that black energy hand was all thanks to the void flying boat. This was an ability discovered over many years of mastering and understanding the void flying boat. Though the void flying boat didn't possess attack capabilities, Lu Qing later discovered that the array inside could amplify his attacks. If not, even if he was a perfect golden core at his current realm, he couldn't shake the Taoist magic of a seasoned primordial spirit great power. Ah Qing, what was that just now? At this moment, Little Li asked, still with lingering fear. Beside it, the tails of the 5 elements were trembling with unease. It should have been some primordial spirit great power attacking us. Fortunately, it was a narrow escape. We managed to flee. Lu Qing replied with a smile. Truly, it's a primordial spirit great power. Little Li and the 5 elements were shaken inside. Earlier, upon seeing that terrifyingly immense black hand that could almost obscure the stars, they had already speculated. Now, with Lu Qing's confirmation, they were instantly filled with dread. The primordial spirit great power that suddenly attacked them clearly came with ill intentions and had a very sinister aura. If they hadn't escaped just now, it's hard to imagine what the outcome would have been. Primordial spirit great powers are indeed terrifying. It seems we need to be even more cautious in the future. This sudden encounter made Lu Qing much more vigilant. The outside world is indeed fraught with danger. They hadn't even delved into the prosperous region of the Great Origin Immortal Domain. Yet they encountered a primordial spirit great power. It's hard to say if there will be more dangers along the journey, requiring them to be even more cautious. Little Li and 5 elements naturally had no objections and nodded vigorously. Especially after experiencing the terror of the primordial spirit great power, the little bit of arrogance in these 2 little fellows was truly quelled. Originally, the 2 little fellows were quite confident in the high-grade demon core they condensed. But just now, they didn't manage to serve any purpose at all. They only managed to escape thanks to Lu Qing's eruption. In front of a primordial spirit great power, their strength was indeed insignificant. Lu Qing replaced the spirit stone on the void-flying boat with a new lower-grade one to continue their journey. However, he secretly memorized the starry sky coordinates of that world they encountered earlier. Being beaten and not fighting back is not in Lu Qing's character. Right now, his cultivation is still shallow, and he can only flee in embarrassment. Once he steps into the primordial spirit realm, he is determined to return and meet that mysterious primordial spirit realm again. In the following days, Lu Qing became even more cautious. When passing by those small worlds, he would rather take a detour than approach them closely. However, even so, they still faced several crises during the journey. In some worlds, they were detected by primordial spirit great powers who attempted to intercept them. Fortunately, the void ship was mysterious, along with Lu Qing's vigilance. Most of the time, those primordial spirit great powers would make a move. They would immediately employ void traversal techniques and escape swiftly. In the end, they narrowly avoided these dangers. Another 5 years passed like this. One day, Lu Qing stopped the void-flying boat, hovering above the starry sky, not moving forward. Ah Qing, what is it? Little Yen and 5 elements, who were meditating with eyes closed, woke up upon sensing the commotion. We've arrived, Lu Qing said. We've finally arrived? Upon hearing this, Little Li and 5 elements were first stunned, then overjoyed. For over 5 years, they have been aboard the void-flying boat, with almost nothing else to do but cultivation. Moreover, even though they were cultivating, they didn't dare to meditate too deeply, fearing that any abrupt incident might occur, leaving them unable to awaken in time. Now hearing that they have finally reached their destination, the eyes of these 2 little fellows were almost glowing. They immediately rushed to the front of the flying boat to look ahead. And then, at the next moment, they were all stunned. Before them was a vast world, floating in the void. Surrounding it were 5 smaller worlds, revolving slowly like guardians around that large world. The world's majestic aura deeply shook the hearts and spirits of little Li and 5 elements. It left the 2 little fellows staring ahead in astonishment, unable to return to their senses for a long time. Lu Qing also felt a stirring within his heart and spirit. After more than 5 years of travel, through many twists and turns, he had finally arrived here smoothly. Such a vast world. At this moment, a phantom appeared beside Lu Qing, also gazing ahead in awe. It was Yen, who had been cultivating in the leaving fire tripod for a long time without emerging. Currently, the heart of Yen was equally shocked. The great world ahead was truly too vast. The light of this world, like an immeasurable radiance, made even their home world appear insignificant like fireflies in comparison. Ah Qing, that massive world up ahead, is this our destination? After a long while, little Li finally came back to his senses and asked excitedly. Yes, that is the world we are heading to. The heavenly origin great world. Lu Qing nodded. But before we go, we need to make some preparations. Indeed, Lu Qing's purpose for this journey was the heavenly origin great world. According to the star map's markings, it was one of the 5 most powerful great worlds in the great origin immortal domain. Also, it was the closest great world to their home world. Finding an extraterrestrial meteor, they landed the void ship, then activated an array to completely hide the ship. For over 5 years, Lu Qing had been focusing on piloting the flying boat. Especially after the first encounter with that mysterious primordial spirit great powers attack, he didn't even dare to be distracted, let alone cultivate. Afraid of any unexpected incidents that he could not react to in time. Thus, after 5 years, even though he possessed many exotic treasures, along with secret techniques such as the Divine Soul Talisman to support him, his heart and spirit were still utterly exhausted. So he planned to rest for a few days, adjust his state to its peak, and then set off again. After hiding the void flying boat, Lu Qing took out a spirit stone, held it in his hand, and entered the deepest level of meditative recovery. Little Li and 5 elements, on the other hand, intuitively circled around him, constantly watching for any external disturbances and protecting him. A few days later, when the spiritual charm in Lu Qing's spirit stone was exhausted, he opened his eyes, a divine light flickering within. After a few days of breath regulation, he had restored his state to its peak. Even, he felt that after these 5 years of mental and spiritual tempering, his divine soul power became even more pure and resilient, and the divine soul talisman in the acupoint on his forehead emitted a faint glow, showing faint signs of a breakthrough. Noticing this, Lu Qing was delighted. His divine soul talisman, ever since advancing to the Yang talisman stage, nurtured by the Earth Spirit Pearl, though its power kept growing stronger, it had never had a qualitative breakthrough. Even when he crossed the heavenly tribulation and entered the Golden Core realm, it only greatly increased the power of his divine soul, but his divine soul talisman hadn't further evolved. After all, according to the Divine Talisman Sect's legacy records, a divine soul talisman generally needs to undergo the tribulation thunder's baptism before it washes away the Yin Qi, turning Yin to Yang and entering the Yang talisman stage. This stage was usually achievable only in the Golden Core realm. No one expected someone like Lu Qing would be around, who could trigger tribulation thunder while breaking through the innate realm, refining the power of the divine soul. You could say, back then Lu Qing had the realm but his power of the divine soul was inadequate. This was why the power of his divine soul talisman couldn't be fully realized. Later on, as he entered Foundation establishment and achieved the Golden Core, he gradually filled up his divine soul power. But there had never been any further qualitative metamorphosis. Now, after 5 years of mental fortification, he finally had that feeling of breakthrough again. After this breakthrough, I should be able to step into the middle realm of the Yang talisman, significantly enhancing both my talisman application and array arrangement. Lu Qing thought joyously. Cultivation of the divine soul power is much harder than cultivating mana. It's not something that can be improved simply by absorbing spiritual energy. He had entered the Yang Talisman stage much earlier than he formed the Golden Core. But later on, the enhancement of his Mana Golden Core was even faster. If not for being restricted by the spiritual energy of his home world over these years, he might have already stepped into the 4th or even 5th transition realm. Fortunately, this time of mental tempering gave him a direction for cultivating divine soul power. Perhaps in the future he can deduce this path further. Just so, the legacy of the Divine Talisman sect obtained back then is no longer enough to support my cultivation. This time in the heavenly origin great world, I must find some legacy. Lu Qing pondered. The legacy left in the Jade Cave back then was incomplete. At most, it could cultivate up to the Golden Core realm, which is the Yang Talisman stage. He hadn't gained any of the subsequent cultivation techniques. This is also one of the reasons why the power of his Divine Soul Talisman has been progressing slowly after entering the Yang Talisman stage. Master! When Lu Qing's heart and spirit entered the Leaving Fire tripod, Yen immediately greeted him. Ever since Lu Qing stepped into the Golden Core realm, Yen began to gradually change its attitude towards Lu Qing. Eventually, it began addressing Lu Qing directly as master. At first, Lu Qing was somewhat unaccustomed to it, but later seeing that Yen insisted on it, he went along with it. What about the demon cultivator? Lu Qing asked. Currently asleep. Over the years, that demon child has been in slumber most of the time due to the lack of nourishment from demonic qi to reduce consumption. Yen replied. Lu Qing slightly nodded. The demon cultivator not receiving a supplement of demonic qi was his deliberate intention. He always held vigilance toward that fellow. Even with the enslavement mark branded on it, he remained cautious. Therefore, over the years, he only occasionally provided it with a bit of demonic qi, merely enough to maintain its essence from dissipating, absolutely not allowing it to absorb excessive power. With a thought, a ball of light appeared in Lu Qing's hand, encapsulating a black hand. Simultaneously, he shifted the sleeping demon cultivator from the corner of the spiritual artifact space. With such commotion, the demon cultivator naturally woke in an instant. But upon seeing Lu Qing, it showed delight. Master, I recall you saying that you are from the heavenly origin great world and were once one of the 108 demon generals under the Black Sky Demon Venerable? Lu Qing didn't bother with pleasantries with the demon cultivator and directly asked. The demon cultivator was first taken aback, then hurriedly replied, Yes, master, in my memories, I was indeed one of the demon generals under the demon venerable in my previous life. Since that's the case, you should be well acquainted with the heavenly origin great world then? Lu Qing continued to ask. Reporting to the master. Though the demon cultivator felt puzzled as to why Lu Qing suddenly showed interest in the heavenly origin great world. Yet it was a rare opportunity to prove itself, so it replied immediately, This little servant has gone through reincarnation and the mystery of the fetus. Although some memories are missing, I still basically recall matters concerning the heavenly origin great world. Very well, tell me what you know about the heavenly origin great world, especially the distribution of various powers, and how an outsider cultivator can enter the great world, all of it. How to enter the heavenly origin great world? Could it be that master intends to? Hearing this, the demon cultivator was startled inside. It thought of a possibility but dared not believe it. One must know that the heavenly origin great world is unimaginably distant from the small, isolated world where Lu Qing is located. It hadn't been asleep for long. How could Lu Qing suddenly arrive near the heavenly origin great world? Nonetheless, despite the shock, the demon cultivator dared not delay. After thinking for a while, it said, The heavenly origin great world is one of the most powerful worlds in the great origin immortal domain. Through the demon cultivator's explanation, Lu Qing slowly gained a relatively clear understanding of this vast world. According to the demon cultivator's description, the Great Origin Immortal Domain originally belonged to the territory of the Great Origin Immortal Dynasty. And the Heavenly Origin Great World was one of the few most powerful worlds within the Great Origin Immortal Domain, governed by the Great Origin Immortal Dynasty. However, over 100,000 years ago, a huge upheaval occurred in the Great Origin Immortal domain, causing the entire Great Origin Immortal dynasty to collapse. Several of the most powerful great worlds immediately became independent, each playing their own game, no longer under the restraint of the Immortal dynasty. The Heavenly Origin Great World was one of them. Yet, even after the independence, there was no peace within the Heavenly Origin Great World. To contend for control over the world, multiple factions directly initiated wars. Amidst them, the righteous and demon paths clashed most fiercely. The final result of the confrontation was a stalemate, with neither able to overpower the other. Back then, when this little servant was being hunted by the righteous cultivators and was forced to use the heavenly demon rebirth technique to escape. In the Heavenly Origin Great World, the strength between the righteous and demon paths were not far apart. The demon lords balanced with the many top-tier primordial spirit realm of the righteous path, rarely clashing. Yet, the middle to lower-tier cultivators frequently experienced friction, and battles occurred sporadically. I was ambushed and hunted by numerous righteous cultivators during a secret realm exploration that forced me to abandon my physical body, using the heavenly demon rebirth technique for reincarnation. Middle to lower-tier cultivators. Lu Qing pondered for a moment, and then said, "You mentioned you were a primordial spirit realm demon cultivator. Does that mean even a primordial spirit great power is considered lower tier?" Indeed, in the Great Origin Immortal domain, only those of 7 tribulations and above in the primordial spirit realm are qualified to be considered top-tier primordial spirits. This little servant was merely a cultivator of the primordial spirit tribulation back then, and was among the lower-ranked demon generals under the esteemed demon venerable. Upon hearing this, Lu Qing's heart was shaken. A powerful being in the primordial spirit realm in the Heavenly Origin Great World could only count as a middle-tier cultivator. And the demon venerable whom the demon cultivator served in its previous life had 108 demon generals under him. With 108 primordial spirit realms, the Golden Core and Foundation establishment cultivators under them were surely countless. This was only the force of one demon lord. It's unimaginable how many primordial spirit great powers existed across the entire Heavenly Origin Great World. This is the foundation of a top-tier great world. Compared to this, my home world truly is as insignificant as dust. Lu Qing was greatly shaken inside, truly realizing what the foundation of a great world meant. He delved even deeper in thought, pondering over how powerful the once unified Great Origin Immortal Dynasty, which could govern many top-tier great worlds, must have been. Luckily, I came out this time, otherwise, staying in my home world would indeed make me a frog at the bottom of a well. Lu Qing calmed his emotions for a moment. He continued to ask, "Then if I wish to enter the Heavenly Origin Great World, what should I do?" When he saw the vast and boundless might of the Heavenly Origin Great World, Lu Qing understood that it was unlikely he could sneak into the Heavenly Origin Great World with a void-flying boat like he did in his home world. With his current cultivation, the void-flying boat he activated might not even pass through the world's membranes, and he would have to find another way. Sure enough, the next moment he heard the demon cultivator report truthfully. Every great world is integrated, and coupled with the powerful membranes, they can block most space divine abilities and magic artifacts. So even the top primordial spirit great powers find it difficult to force their way in. Foreign cultivators who wish to enter the Heavenly Origin Great World can only go through the 5 affiliated small worlds outside and take the transmission array in. When I was still in the Heavenly Origin Great World, those 5 affiliated small worlds outside, the righteous and demon paths each occupied 2, with the remaining small world occupied by the Demon Clan Alliance. I once slept for many years, experiencing multiple reincarnations before I comprehended the mystery of the fetus. I've been away from the Heavenly Origin Great World for quite some time now, and I don't know if the situation has changed. Lu Qing recalled what he saw before, the 5 small worlds slowly rotating around the Heavenly Origin Great World, each exuding a different aura. Among them, 2 small worlds emitted a solemn and grand righteous aura. Opposing them, the other 2 small worlds felt eerie and overbearing, which he found quite unpleasant. The last small world remaining had an aura of malevolence with a hint of carefree nonchalance. It should be the small world occupied by the demon clan. Clearly, during the time the demon cultivator was away, the situation in the heavenly origin great world hadn't changed much. So as long as we can enter one of the small worlds and then take the transmission array, we can enter the heavenly origin great world, right? Lu Qing nodded in understanding. However, to his surprise, the demon cultivator shook his head. It's naturally not that simple. How vast and powerful the heavenly origin great world is, its world might is unimaginably strong. It's filled with countless opportunities and mysteries. Even the ubiquitous spiritual energy has various wondrous uses, far more potent than the spiritual energy of lower worlds. Such a magnificent world is indeed the cultivation holy land countless cultivators yearn for. Since it's a cultivation holy land, naturally it's not so easy to enter. Foreign cultivators wishing to enter the heavenly origin great world generally have two ways. One is to pay a hefty amount of spirit stones to gain the qualification to reside there. The other way is to join a certain power within the heavenly origin great world. Whether recruited as a disciple or becoming an honored guest elder of a sect, both qualify for entry into the great world. However, becoming an honored guest elder of a sect is not easy. Even some small sects require a golden core cultivation or above. So that's how it is. With the demon cultivator's explanation, Lu Qing realized that his earlier thoughts were somewhat naive. Indeed, if the heavenly origin great world was so easy to enter, then other small and medium worlds cultivators would have already crowded in seeking opportunities. This situation, how could the native powers within the heavenly origin great world tolerate it? It seems, I can only first choose one of the small worlds to temporarily reside in, and then see if there's a chance to enter the heavenly origin great world. Lu Qing originally didn't have many spirit stones, and he spent some on the journey here. Now, the spirit stones left in his hand could be counted on 10 fingers. It was surely not enough to pay the entrance fee to the heavenly origin great world. But no matter what, he still needed to make contact to have a chance of finding a solution. Next, Lu Qing asked the demon cultivator numerous details about entering the small world to ensure he understood everything clearly before he tossed out the black hand. You've performed well this time. This demon body hand is your reward. Thank you, Master. The demon cultivator took the hand with great delight. Over the years, Lu Qing rarely entered the leaving fire tripod, giving it little chance to request demonic chi from him. Additionally, Yen itself disliked it, making it even less likely to convey messages for it. This led to quite tough years for the demon cultivator, who could only reduce the consumption of primordial demonic chi by sleeping. Now, obtaining this hand of its own body finally allowed it to properly replenish its demonic chi. After handing over the demon body hand, Lu Qing ignored the demon cultivator's joy, withdrew his heart and spirit from the leaving fire tripod, and returned to his physical body. As he opened his eyes, he saw little Li and 5 elements looking at him brightly. Ah Qing, you're awake. Are we ready to set off? Little Li asked immediately upon seeing Lu Qing awaken. Almost. Once we make some more preparations, we can set off. In the following time, Lu Qing spent another 2 days making adequate preparations before he finally commanded the void-flying boat towards the vast world ahead. However, even though the heavenly origin great world seemed close, it was actually still a considerable distance away from where Lu Qing and his party were. In the ensuing time, Lu Qing propelled the void-flying boat forward at a speed 100 times the limit of his home world, advancing for over 10 days before finally arriving before one of the small worlds. During this journey, the closer they got to the heavenly origin great world, the more Lu Qing and his companions could feel the vast and boundless world might. As they approached one of the small worlds, Lu Qing finally saw. Outside that small world, there floated a landmass the size of a state from his home world. An array of formations covered it, and through the light, many majestic buildings could be seen within. It was an awe-inspiring city floating in the starry sky. The 5 small worlds on the outskirts of the heavenly origin great world essentially serve as 5 gates. It's through the transmission arrays of these 5 gates that one can officially enter the heavenly origin great world. However, even these 5 small worlds are not so easy to enter. One must undergo inspection and screening in the Starry Sky City above the small world to verify their identity before entry is permitted. In his heart, Lu Qing recalled the demon cultivator's words as he gradually slowed the void-flying boat, approaching the Starry Sky City ahead. His choice was naturally one of the 2 small worlds controlled by the Righteous Path Alliance in the Heavenly Origin Great World. After all, the cultivation methods he practiced were all honorable and upright righteous methods. Going to a demon cultivator-controlled small world, who knows what could happen? As the void-flying boat neared the front of the great city gate of the Star Sky City, suddenly, a large white array light appeared from the city gate, shooting towards the void ship. Lu Qing was not alarmed, allowing it to envelop the ship. He knew this was a necessary procedure to enter the Starry Sky City. This array light bore no hostility. It was merely checking whether his boat was a devilish magical treasure. As expected, after the array light encompassed and scanned for a while, it slowly retracted. At the same time, an opening appeared in the array barrier in front of the city gate, allowing passage for the void ship. Lu Qing piloted the void ship through the gap, finally landing gently in front of the city gate. With little Li and 5 elements, he disembarked from the void-flying boat and then stored it away. Only then did Lu Qing lead the 2 little ones towards the city gate. Fellow Taoists, your journey must have been arduous. May I know where you came from and how you are addressed? By the city gate, there was a table and chair, and a slightly plump old man sat there, kindly inquiring of Lu Qing. However, Lu Qing could sense the old man's aura was like an abyssal sea. Without using his superpower, he couldn't gauge the old man's depth at all. He immediately understood this person must be a primordial spirit realm great power above the golden core. Not daring to neglect, he respectfully saluted, Junior Lu Qing, from a remote small world. These 2 are my spiritual pets. Greetings, Senior. Greetings, Senior. Little Li and 5 elements also nervously saluted the old man. They too could vaguely sense the terrifying aura of the old man before them. Is it fellow Taoist Lu Qing? Not bad, not bad. The entry fee is 100 low-grade spirit stones per person or 1 middle-grade spirit stone. Your 2 spiritual pets are also in the demon pill realm, and they need to pay a fee as well. Will you pay with low-grade spirit stones or middle-grade spirit stones? The slightly plump elder said with a smile. He didn't ask about the specific name of Lu Qing's home world, nor did he inquire about his purpose in coming to the Heavenly Origin Great World. Junior will pay with middle-grade spirit stones. Upon hearing that just the entry fee required 3 middle-grade spirit stones, Lu Qing felt a twinge in his heart. After this long journey, he didn't have many spirit stones left in his hand. The low-grade spirit stones had already been exhausted, and he only had a few middle-grade spirit stones left. Unexpectedly, even entering the city required 3 middle-grade spirit stones. However, despite feeling the pinch, Lu Qing said nothing and respectfully took out 3 spirit stones and handed them over. Don't be so heartache. To enter the Little Tsang realm, you must use the teleportation array. The cost of a teleportation is not small. Only charging you 1 middle-grade spirit stone is already very cheap. The slightly plump elder skillfully collected the spirit stones with a smiling face, and then took out 3 jade talismans. These jade talismans are your city entry and teleportation certificates, and the teleportation array is located in the center of the city. Remember, no fighting is allowed in the city. As for matters after entering the Little Tsang realm, they are no longer my concern. The Little Tsang realm was the name of the small world Lu Qing wanted to enter. Thank you, Senior. Lu Qing respectfully accepted the jade talisman, then bowed to the elder before heading into the city with little Li and the others. Watching Lu Qing's back, the slightly plump elder's eyes revealed a trace of peculiar light. An ordinary mid-grade golden core third turn, yet accompanied by 2 demon pill realm spiritual beasts. And it seems that those 2 spiritual beasts are carrying secret treasures that disguise their aura. Their cultivation is not just as simple as the first turn low-grade demon pill. This young man, is he from a noble family in some great world? or a direct descendant of a primordial spirit great power, out for training. After thinking for a while, the slightly plump elder shook his head and decided not to delve any further. His current duty was merely that of a gatekeeper. As long as the visitors weren't those demon children from the other side, he wouldn't pry into their background regardless of their origin. Whether Lu Qing was a disciple of an immortal sect from other great worlds or a direct descendant of a primordial spirit great power, or even a wanted criminal from some world, it was none of his business. In any case, a mere golden core realm couldn't possibly shake the heavens. If something really happened, there would naturally be others to step in. All he needed to do was guard the city gate and collect the entry fee. The rest was for someone else to worry about. He didn't have many years left to live, and he should enjoy the remaining time. It seems that even a primordial spirit realm great power cannot see through my disguise. On the other side, Lu Qing, who had already entered the city, sighed in relief. For this city entry he had naturally made ample preparations. First was his own cultivation realm. His perfect golden core was too mysterious. If discovered, it was hard to say what might happen. So, before coming, he used the perfect golden core's talent ability of being invisible and ever-changing to reduce the power of the magic power golden core to only the level of a mid-grade golden core. At the same time, he inscribed a talisman on the demon cores of Little Li and the 5 elements. That talisman was comprehended from his own perfect golden core's ability of being invisible and ever-changing. It also had the ability to disguise cultivation and change auras. Now it seems the mysteriousness comprehended from the perfect golden core is indeed marvelous. Even a primordial spirit great power finds it difficult to see through his methods of disguise. Of course, this is also because the elder only used divine soul sensing to sense their auras. If the elder had done it personally, using divine soul mana to investigate Lu Qing and the others' golden core and demon core, besides Lu Qing, Little Li and the rest would likely have immediately revealed their true forms with their upper-grade demon cores, unable to hide. However, speaking of which, using divine soul mana to forcefully investigate someone else's magic power golden core is a great taboo. No cultivator can tolerate such an investigation that borders on humiliation. The heavenly origin great world would not commit such a taboo. Otherwise, for ordinary cultivators it might be fine. But accidentally offending a disciple from another great world, or even a primordial spirit great power, would be to court enmity for no reason. Understanding this, Lu Qing thus inscribed the concealment transformation talisman on Little Li and the 5 elements demon cores. In this way, even if the elder sensed something amiss with their auras, he would generally not forcibly probe their demon cores. After all, among cultivators, many like to conceal their auras and act low profile. As long as they weren't demon cultivators sneaking in, there shouldn't be any issues. Things went as Lu Qing thought. Although the elder sensed a hint of something amiss, he still allowed them to pass smoothly. This first hurdle was smoothly passed. Next is to take the teleportation array into the small world. Lu Qing toyed with the jade talisman in his hand. This jade talisman was not only the entry certificate but also the certificate to enter the Little Tsong realm. Although Star Sky City was immensely grand, Lu Qing didn't linger excessively. After entering the city, he headed straight for the center of the city with Little Li and 5 elements. It wasn't long before he arrived at the central location of the city. A gigantic jade platform was situated there, engravings of mysterious runes forming a huge array on its surface. In front of the jade platform, there were more than 10 people waiting, each with an extraordinary aura. Except for a few who seemed to have followed their elders to gain experience, most of them at least had the cultivation of the Golden Core realm. Lu Qing even noticed a middle-aged man among them, whose aura was as formidable as a mountain or a deep abyss, giving him a sense of danger. His heart trembled, knowing the person should also be a primordial spirit great power. Lu Qing's arrival naturally caught the attention of others. At first, seeing he was only a 3rd transition mid-grade golden core, they didn't pay much attention. But when they saw Little Li being carried by him, and the 5 elements lying on his shoulder, their expressions changed. After all, having Golden Core Realm spiritual pets was quite rare. Especially considering Lu Qing's cultivation did not seem high, yet he could carry 2 Golden Core Realm spiritual pets with him. His identity must be somewhat unusual. But even so, no one said anything. After glancing at Lu Qing a few times, they went back to their own matters. However, on the Jade platform, a youth in treasure armor, also with the Golden Core Realm cultivation, spoke up as he saw Lu Qing approaching. "Are you also going to enter the Little Tsong realm? We still need to wait for a bit. We can only activate the teleportation array after there are 30 people." After some inquiry, Lu Qing realized. It turned out that the teleportation array of Star Sky City couldn't be activated at any time. It required at least 30 people to start once. Lu Qing understood this. The activation of the teleportation array must incur a considerable cost. Naturally, it cannot be activated rashly for just 1 or 2 people. If that were the case, the middle-grade spirit stone they offered probably wouldn't cover the cost of a single activation. But this was just what Lu Qing wanted, as he was worried about not having an excuse to linger a bit longer here. Therefore, after thanking the treasure armor youth, Lu Qing found a corner, sat cross-legged, silently regulating his breath, and waiting. Little Li snuggled into his arms, while the 5 elements burrowed into his robe's hood. With that, after a long while, feeling that no one was noticing him anymore, Lu Qing quietly opened his eyes. With a hint of excitement in his eyes, he looked towards the transmission Jade platform. Of course, what he was looking at was not the Jade platform itself, but the incredibly mysterious rune array inscribed upon it. From the first glance at the runes on the transmission Jade platform, his heart and spirit were already trembling. However, with so many powerful figures around, he couldn't show it. He had been contemplating how to find a reason to carefully study and learn from it. Unexpectedly, the transmission Jade platform needed enough people to be activated, which was a great opportunity for him. Transmission array. Lu Qing felt a fiery passion in his heart, silently activating his superpower, and looked at those mysterious runes. Soon, a dense purple superpower light emerged from the transmission Jade platform, with several pieces of information floating out. Transmission Jade platform, imbued with teleportation array, a magical treasure capable of spatial transmission. The transmission array involves space law. It is difficult to master without deep knowledge of the array. This transmission Jade platform is a directional transmission magic treasure, and can only transmit to a fixed location. This transmission Jade platform is a short-distance transmission magic treasure, with limited transmission distance. Transmission discovery detected. Download simulation? Upon seeing the last piece of information, a subtle smile appeared on Lu Qing's face. He then chose to download. Downloading, current progress 1%, 2%, 3%, 98%, 99%, 100%. Download complete. Simulate. Lu Qing then chose to simulate. Simulating, current progress 1%, 2%, 3%, 98%, 99%, 100%. Simulation complete. Learn? Lu Qing glanced around, seeing no one was paying attention to him. He reached out to pat Little Li's head, using Divine Soul Transmission. "Little Li, protect me and keep an eye on the surroundings." Little Li's ears twitched lightly. Years of tacit understanding told it that Qing must be preparing to comprehend something again. It didn't move, and only softly responded with a hum through Divine Soul Transmission, indicating understanding. Only then did Lu Qing choose to learn, and closed his eyes. The next moment, a mass of comprehension information surged to the depths of his mind. Lu Qing skillfully received and understood this information, entering a deep cultivation state. An hour later, Lu Qing opened his eyes, filled with wonder. This transmission array is indeed supremely profound. It can indeed utilize the power of the array to evoke the space laws, achieving spatial transmission. Lu Qing felt an extraordinary shock in his heart. It must be recognized that the Space Dao is incredibly mysterious. Even a primordial spirit great power needs to tread far in the primordial spirit realm. Only then can they have the qualification to comprehend the enigmatic space law. But this transmission array does not require such trouble. As long as one can accurately arrange the array, use runes to communicate with the space law, and evoke spatial power, spatial transmission can be achieved. Although the void flying boat possesses the ability to traverse the void, more than half of that is credited to its peculiar material. The array inscribed within it is secondary. However, this transmission array genuinely relies on array power to achieve transmission capabilities. If thoroughly comprehended, my achievement in the rune array path would undoubtedly deepen greatly. Even the Divine Soul Talisman could formally step into the middle realm of the Yang Talisman. Lu Qing felt greatly delighted. Originally, he thought he had to enter the heavenly origin great world to seek those profound inheritances. But unexpectedly, even before officially entering the Little Tsong realm, he had such a gain. This further strengthened Lu Qing's resolve to enter the heavenly origin great world. With the presence of superpowers, that vast world full of various encounters and opportunities is truly his supreme treasure land. After a while, Lu Qing calmed his emotions and closed his eyes to comprehend again. The transmission array was extraordinarily mysterious. He had only made a cursory understanding of it. He was still some way off from truly mastering it. Since it's unclear how long it would take to gather enough people to activate the transmission array, he might as well take this time to thoroughly comprehend it. What has Qing comprehended to be this happy? Curled up in Lu Qing's arms, little Li was curious when Lu Qing entered meditation again. The emotional fluctuations of Lu Qing were concealed well, but they could not escape the sharp spiritual sense of little Li, who was so close. Given its understanding of Lu Qing clearly comprehended something remarkable. Otherwise, he wouldn't be this pleased. The subsequent time passed quietly in Lu Qing's silent comprehension. During this period, other strong individuals continually arrived at the transmission jade platform. Some even attempted to make acquaintance, but after being politely declined twice by Lu Qing, others wisely stopped trying. In this way, several days passed, and the area around the jade platform finally gathered 30 people. Everyone, 30 people have gathered. The teleportation array can now be activated. Please, everyone, stand in the center of the jade platform. The treasure armor youth, having waited for another half-day without others arriving, spoke. Upon hearing this, the awaiting strong individuals around stood up and headed to the center of the jade platform. Throughout this process, the unfamiliar cultivators deliberately kept their distance. Luckily, the transmission jade platform was large enough to accommodate 30 people, even with maintained distances. Lu Qing also opened his eyes and got up to walk forward, feeling a faint sense of joy. Through these days of understanding, he had comprehended the transmission array to quite a profound level. Once he had enough materials, he should be able to truly arrange an array. Everyone, the spatial power is formidable. Even with the protection of the array power, there may still be discomfort during transmission, so please be mindful. The treasure armor youth warned them, then took out a token. As his mana poured in, the token emitted a burst of peculiar fluctuation. The entire transmission jade platform radiated waves of light. Immediately, Lu Qing sensed the sudden emergence of powerful spatial power, and a spatial vortex suddenly formed, engulfing them all.